welcome to Kinky Clocktower. I'm here with Sammiches and Hosian, and we are going to look at Ogre Scraps. We have a Kinky Clocktower Ogre Script competition that we've hosted. You might not have heard about it because we don't. It's all private. I don't even know how much. But we do like to record our thoughts on these things. We like to share it with our server. This is kind of a private contest for our group, for funsies. Just to see what kind of scripts that they can put together with all of the information that they have and their experience and whatnot. So this one, because we had a character release, because we have Origins coming up, it's really an excuse for Alexis to 3D print some shit and give it to somebody. But also for us to get excited for Clocktower at another convention, which Sammiches is for sure going to in his private 100%. Jet.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is going to be for the Ogre. The Ogre, what does the Ogre do, Sammiches?
The Ogre, first night you pick a player, and you are the alignment of that player, regardless of if you're poisoned or drunk. So no matter what, whoever you pick, you will be their alignment.
Yeah, and it might be helpful if I just opened a script.
You also act last, which will be important for a lot of stuff we're looking at later.
Yeah, that is a super important feature of the Ogre, which I didn't think it would be until I ran it, and I was like, wow, that's fucky. Okay, what are your thoughts on it, Hosian, for the Ogre? Have you been the Ogre? Have you ran into an Ogre game? I can't actually remember.
I've played very few Ogre games so far. Overall, I know last time we did this, we did the Summoner. I think the Summoner has a lot more to think of. I remember Sammiches talking about how there's sort of two games with the Summoner, the before and after pick. With the Ogre, I think it's a lot more simple. It's a lot more straightforward. I think it works well with a lot of different characters. You got to be careful, of course, too many evil changing characters. But at the end of the day, the Ogre is going to pick good most of the time, right? Because most players are good, generally speaking.
What's the issue with too many evil characters on a script with the Ogre, Hosian? Like too many, you're talking about alignment changing? Like a Mez or something?
Yeah, you just, part of balancing this game is the fact that evil gets a little bit more power. They can kill people. They know who each other are. But the balance of that is that they are outnumbered. So especially when it comes to voting at the end of the game, seen a lot of times where good wastes their ghost votes early, and they can't vote enough to outvote evil.
Correct.
When you just have too many evils, you just can never outvote evil. And then once evil controls the board,
or they forget, right? They forget on a Mez script that there could be 4 evils, and they vote just 4 people on potentially the demon, and then evil just ties the list.
Worst feeling ever. It's like,
Worst feeling ever, yeah.
We solved it. Let's save our votes for next game. And then it's like, oh shit, they tied.
Jumping on that, the Ogre, actually going through the script contest, the Ogre has really highlighted the Spirit of Ivory and why it exists and when it's good and when it's bad.
You're not wrong. So a lot of the scripts that we're going to look at, this is not the first iteration. A lot of them got their quote-unquote pee-pee smacked because they were submitting multiple alignment changers with a roll that might change alignment, equaling to what Hosian mentioned, where things get really messy. Now, that kind of sucks when you think about it just from a fun perspective, because the Ogre creates a friend. And I guess there was a former version that existed that is now an optional rule that's come out, and that rule has to do with the fact that the Ogre picks their friend on night 1, and in the normal, like, current version of it, that's it. They become that alignment, they don't learn about it. But in this optional rule, and apparently the way it used to exist, they are always their friend's alignment.
Yeah, and that seems more elegant, but obviously it's a problem.
Yeah, that was exactly why it changed, according to Steve Medway. It's the Ogre just swapping back and forth. I still think there's room for that to work on scripts that have specifically alignment changing, but not additional evil. And I'm referring to the Snake Charmer is a big one.
Yeah.
I think that would be really, really cool if the optional role is employed in a game where a Snake Charmer is in. Doesn't work with Fengu, unfortunately, because goddamn, that's an extra evil. I'm sure we'll run into that on this script contest. But like Mez doesn't work. Bounty Hunter is probably too strong because those don't change. But like Recluse would be cool if you could just arbitrarily keep swapping them back and forth. And they just learn their evil every other night or something. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to me? And then the Spy, because of this jinx with the Spy, I think it actually ruins some of the fun if you use the optional role, because the Spy always registers as evil. I think it would be way more interesting if the spy could register as good, and then the ogre becomes good while they're being checked arbitrarily by like a village idiot or something.
Yeah.
I think that's fun. But yeah, these are not my original thoughts. These are just things that I've heard around, and I am kind of okay with the current version of the ogre. I guess.
Yeah, I think it's in a good spot.
Okay, so that was the ogre. Why is the ogre an outsider though? Seems kind of fun.
Right. I think the only reason the ogre's an outsider is because it could potentially be an extra evil. Because otherwise,
you think so?
I mean, having been the ogre multiple times in games now, there's been a few games where I didn't know what team I was on because the person I had picked either didn't believe me and was playing what I thought was evil, or did believe me and was evil, and then I'm playing for evil. But there's been times where I've been playing for evil and not even realizing I'm good. And it feels like you're an outsider in that case. But I'm not saying that's on the person you picked, but it is part of the character where even the person you picked doesn't have a mechanical way to trust you, right? So you're just kind of winging it. You're not playing like a normal townsfolk would play, nor are you playing like an outsider. You're just a person trying to win with one other specific person.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jose, I don't know if you have extra thoughts on that, but, when would the ogre not be an outsider? I'm sure there's actually concrete times that is the case.
We've seen it.
I think that the ogre, if you were to have a scale of how bad it is for good versus how bad it is for evil, it kind of slightly pushes more towards being a little bad for evil, because when someone says, hey, I'm the ogre and I chose you and you're evil, you have to question that, right? And I think we're going to see a lot of plays of people fooling. I think you're going to see it at least once, probably a few times, of someone fooling evil to think that they are the ogre that's picked them, and turns out they're not, and that person reveals the entire evil team.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting. I wouldn't consider it like a super bad outsider for town like the Saint or the Klutz or something like that. It's a good bluff for good if they want, because if they can catch an evil person. If you're a village idiot and I pick someone and I see them as evil and I see ogre on the script, I better bet you I'm going to go to them day one and go, I'm the ogre that picked you, and try to see if they'll come out to me.
I think that's interesting, though. I think that makes it cool and fun.
Right, but from the definition of an outsider, I would say
that is weird. Yes.
Not exactly the most.
I know, right?
So
your traveler
bad for it's not just straight bad for
I love what you're saying, and I think what this kind of leads into our next thing, and before we get into scripts, what are we looking for on these scripts, right? We want to make sure the ogre feels like an outsider. If we're going to put it on an outsider type script, it needs to function that way most of the time, right? You can't control player choices, but it needs to feel that way, and I think you get a lot of that with these roles that don't know their exact alignment.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, right? If the ogre doesn't know their alignment because the player doesn't know their alignment, like a lunatic, or they're hiding and being shifty like a snake charmer, I think, and that can also change at some point, I think, or a marionette that doesn't even know they're evil. I think those roles lend to the ogre more because the ogre's now just as confused as the player is, and they could pick a lunatic that's convinced they're the demon and just lose the game for good because they think they're playing with an evil team.
I'll throw one out there where it's an outsider. Is I tend to pay attention to voting patterns. So when you start seeing certain people voting with each other a lot, you're like, oh, there's the evil team, right? These three people are all voting together. So when the ogre's always voting with the person they've chosen, you're like, oh, that's the evil team. And it could just be two good players, but now in your mind, you're like, oh, that's an evil block. They've been voting together. That's where it can be damaging to town, because then you get the wrong evil team.
Yeah, the thing I've been doing as the ogre is I just go to my pick and I just tell them any information I've gotten about town. I'm like, I'm trying to be a crappy dreamer. I'm like, this person is hard playing this to me. Like, I don't know if I'm throwing the game. I don't know what's going on.
That is a good question.
Tell me what team they're on. I'm just like, okay, I'm playing for evil. I'm going to start base evil because I'm an outsider, and I'm going to move up towards good if you convince me eventually. But yeah.
Yeah, and obviously this is more about the scripts, not so much playing as the ogre, but that is fun to think about how I think we'll talk about that a little on each script, what it would be like to either receive the ogre token, receive it as a bluff, or just how to play when somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I picked you, I'm the ogre. Because don't be me and out the evil team to a politician when they're in a role swap.
I've been the ogre, though, who picked evil, who immediately outed to me in a magician game, and we ended up winning that game. So that was an interesting I mean, it can help evil sometimes. just because of the alignment change stuff. So it does happen, but yeah, more people will be wary of it than not.
I think, too, to add, there's a player meta. I think most people look at the Ogre and they're like, oh, I can tell everyone I'm the Ogre, it's fine. But if you pick someone that's evil, you've just allowed like an empath. If you're on the opposite side of the grim, you allowed an empath to now see that you're evil and then get the information on the person you pick. So I think there has to be a meta that people should probably play a bit more quiet, because if they pick someone that's evil, they've just given away not just themselves, but another person that's evil.
Yeah, every time I've been Ogre, I've only told my person and then tried to hide it until I find out we're good and we need to know outsider count. Otherwise, that's one of the things on scripts I'm looking at is, can an Ogre reasonably hide? Because once you're an outed Ogre, it becomes hard if you're an evil Ogre at that point, it becomes hard for your team to do anything with you on their team, because you're obviously not a demon unless there's a barber or something. So like there's the Ogre hiding, I think, is their default state until stuff happens later, and how well a script lets them do that, I think, is important to look at. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, noting all of that, let's jump in. Let's start looking at some scripts. We already got one here, and it is from Tejas /Tejas /Tej /Haas /Penis Face, because he doesn't fucking keep his name the same. Okay, yeah, let's go through this. So I went through all of the scripts during yesterday and a couple weeks, but as I mentioned, some of these have had changes. I'm going to go through the write-up real fast, but if there are changes from this, just note, because the write-up was from the first version of the script. So that'll hold true for any of these. All right, from Tejas, so this is Don't Cry Because It's Ogre. That's cute. I am a fan of all the pun names that are going to come.
Pun names are good.
Sammiches has a good one that we'll probably at least look at some point today.
Ooh.
All right. The script goal is to have as many alignment checkers for the sake of the Ogre, while avoiding hard confirmation, allowing zany interactions along the way. Ooh, I love zany stuff. The script overall focuses on a powerful town that can solve the game if they just can decide what the demon is. Oh, it's a town vote on that, huh? And then it goes through a bunch of the stuff when it comes to like townsfolk, outsiders, and such. But we'll look at that as we look at the script. So, let's see. Oh, the demons got deleted. Oopsie. So this one kind of covers a lot of bases when it comes to the minions. And if you've watched any of my previous like script videos, I love looking at minions, demons, outsiders, townsfolk in that order. I think it's the most functional way to look at a given script, because it kind of fills in the gaps from there. And on this one, with the minions, you kind of have a suite of different powers that don't overlap, which is something that you're probably looking for when you're making a script. Something that fills in the weak spots for the demons and the outsiders. When you look at this, Sammiches, what jumps out at you from the evil team?
Just the Widow, honestly. The Widow with the Magician is a little weird, but I do like the Widow here. They don't even know what team the Ogre's on when they look at the thing, right? Because they go
correct.
Before
the Widow goes really early. This is funny interaction.
They just know an Ogre exists.
The Ogre can even gaslight a Widow in this game.
Unlike the Spy, yeah, they go so early that they...
Spy wouldn't even learn until the next day.
Oh, Spy doesn't go before... Oh, man.
I don't think so.
Went at the end. I thought Spy went at the end of the order.
We'll have to check.
I think we have a Spy on one of these, but yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a vast difference between all these, right? Between the Boom Dandy, the Godfather, Scarlet Woman, like they all serve different purposes, which is interesting. You get a nice array of different outsiders. Obviously, Godfathers for outsider manipulation.
This is also a script that opted not to go a full set of demons. It went with Legion and Leech. It's got that dynamic going with the no dashy to throw in. I think if I'm getting a demon on this script, the no dashy seems like a tricky one. But what jumped out at me from a flaw side of this, because I love Scarlet Woman no dashy, I absolutely abhor Leech Scarlet Woman. It's game breaking.
It is a little game breaking. It can end the game a lot earlier than you want to with just how the Scarlet Woman works with Leech. So
it's crazy. Like, Hosian, have you been in a game with a Leech Scarlet Woman?
I've not. I've seen Pit Hag Leech, but not Leech Scarlet Woman.
Why is it so bad in that interaction, Sammiches? What happens when the Leech dies?
If let's say you kill the Leech host on 5, right? the leech host dies, or on 5, the leech host dies, the leech dies, and now the Scarlet Woman becomes the leech, and now they pick a new target, and it's just an arbitrary choice on who is hosted. You probably host your.
Au contraire, my friend, it gets worse. Because
the game just ends, right?
The game ends because they get to kill that night.
They also get to kill. That's the other thing. So they get to kill. That was the thing. I was like, the game just is over.
You're not wrong about the first interaction being shitty, but this is like game-ending shitty, and it's like
I forgot they get to pick a new host and kill.
There's obviously homebrew stuff you can do, or just not put them in the same game, but that does absolutely make me a cranky boy when I see those two together.
And on this script, there's not a lot of ways to find a Scarlet Woman. You could put them in a Noble Ping. They could sit next to an empath. Balloonist might get them. Balloonist Widow's also not great, but
I don't mind that as long as the poison doesn't arbitrarily move. I think if the Scarlet Woman catches an Odashi, whatever, that happens.
That's fine.
I think really...
There's 3 different, highly different demons. Like, you'll find a leech, right? There's no way to survive being executed. So you'll know it's a leech game. The Nodashi and Legion are 2 separate things. It really depends on who the Nodashi's sitting next to, but that's an awkward situation. I don't think it's bad. I just think you might be solving the demon faster than you think.
Yeah, and I think that all these minions are bluffable in a Legion game, which I'm always looking for. I love to see the worlds that could be built with the demons and the minions that exist. You run into this when you're building a script that you're trying to be unique, and then you realize, oh shit, everybody knows it's not a Baron game because the other 3 minions are loud as fuck. And now the evil team can never bluff Outsider if they're going to use their minion powers. It's like, ugh. Right? So, yeah, with that, I think the Outsiders are great here. The Ogre interactions on this one, I'm seeing a Lunatic, right? Legion Ogre sounds hilarious.
That sounds very fun.
Kind of interesting. In a 12-player game, fine. When you start getting to lower player counts, it's really hard for the storyteller at the beginning to decide how many players should be good and evil, because they have no idea if the ogre is going to jump evil or good. Correct. And if you tweak it a little bit wrong, you could get a very unbalanced game. So that's my one thing with Ogre Legion.
I think you just assume Ogre is evil, right? Maybe.
You would want to, but, of course, they can always choose good, and then you're like, oh no, too many good players.
And you kill them at some point.
The one issue you get into with trying to modify, because you're not wrong, like Legion, and making sure the player count is fair and balanced, it's got 2 weights to it. If you go too few, right, they have like 2 shots at not losing the game. Fine. But if you go too many, all it takes is 1 errant vote for Legion to win at the end. Right? Yep. Because the storyteller's still killing off good players to keep everything balanced. I'm always a fan of keeping it almost exactly reflected and then fucking with that based on the dumb shit you want to try. Like if you're going to put 2 outsiders in, sure, whatever. Fucking maybe up the good side or something. I don't know. But yeah, you're not wrong on that. And obviously, you mentioned Magician earlier, but that plays with the Lunatic, right?
Correct.
That's why it's
I think Magician, Lunatic is good. I like it over Poppy in Ogre games specifically, because if Ogre's a bluff, it lets Evil do some weird stuff with their own team when they see Magician. We also need to mention the Ogre Recluse Jinx. Since you can register the Recluse as good or bad, when the Ogre picks them, if the Ogre picks them and you register them as evil, the Ogre will learn that they're evil. So the Ogre will learn 2 things. 1, they're evil. 2, they pick the Recluse. So they'll know that immediately. If they pick the Recluse and don't hear anything, they're good, but the Recluse doesn't know that. So it's another reason for the Ogre to maybe, the Ogre could also double bluff it and go to the Recluse and tell them they pick them, implying that they're good and trying to help their evil team in that way. But yeah, you're going to see a lot of Ogre Recluse because it's an interesting interaction between the 2 outsiders.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a lot of good fun targets for the Ogre on here because a lot of the townsfolk want to hide. I guess you can get kind of a stinker if they pick like a night 1 roll that's like, yeah, I'm just a chef, cool. Thanks for picking me, bro.
Well, then you got a buddy, right? And you can trust, you could just hang out.
But we do have the first instance of Ogre recycling here, which I love. The Ogre that gets eaten by the cannibal.
Yep, we'll see that a lot too.
That's fun for me. Like, there's so much dumb shit. Because Hosian, have you seen this interaction yet? And then, if you have, like, what are the 3 things that could basically happen with this?
So good.
I have not, but you could end up with an ogre that's evil and then a cannibal that's evil if you don't have Spirit of Ivory,
So that part
which we've
is
already
not
talked about.
correct
Not
because
true,
if they
sir.
eat a cannibal or a cannibal eats an evil player,
Oh,
they're
right,
drunk.
because that's
Mhm.
right. That's right.
But it
But you
gets
could have a good ogre that gets eaten by a cannibal, who then picks an evil player, who then is an evil cannibal for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
or you can have an
Right.
evil cannibal that, or you can have somebody who eats an evil ogre who picks an evil player and thinks that they're evil now rest of the game.
Also true, yes.
Or you can have a player that just gets executed that's minion bluff or whatever. Then they still fake it, right? It really actually makes high... Like, the cannibal in most games is kind of... They should be a little sketchy. I like turning evil.
Yes, a town should be wary of killing an ogre in a cannibal script because you could really mess up.
Yeah. The cannibal's a good player who may or may not change their alignment and may or may not even know or even legally be able to, which is even weirder because now they're like, I don't know if I should be following this or not. I think we had
do they even want to out that info to town? I don't even know. It's like now the cannibal's afraid to out their stuff because they might be on the evil team. That's one instance where the ogre is a huge outsider, is the cannibal interaction, because the town doesn't want that to happen, which also helps evil with a bluff.
Big fan of that,
play.
honestly. I guess you could just pick the cannibal that was eaten every time. Because you're for sure not going to change alignment in that world.
Correct.
So, don't do that, though. That's lame. That's fucking
Don't
lame.
pick the ogre that got killed.
Pick the ogre that got killed. That's lame.
Is a cannibal eating an ogre turning evil, then eating the engineer? Oh my god! And then making it a Legion game,
Stop! You're killing me.
late, that's so hard for Good to solve because they just need. If Good just votes wrong, one of them votes wrong, right? Legion hops on that. And
Hell yeah.
I think I do think
It gets
talking about the
dangerous.
engineer.
I fucking
think
love
engineer engineer on here is a little wild. It's a little wild and crazy for me.
Yeah,
It's just a
I've
little
got comments for some of the townsfolk since I think we're on the same page. There's some shifty townsfolk here. They're gonna hide, and the ogre is gonna be confused for a while.
Yeah.
And then if they pick a evil, whatever. But they're ride or die, and they're probably gonna confuse the shit out of town. I think Legion's carrying the script a lot because of a few things. First off, we have a Night Watchman on here that can also be recycled, which I'm not a fan of. But
Very strong, yeah.
there's no summoner or anything to like take away that. There's not even like a mez. There's no way to no way to move the demon on here, right?
Yeah, Mez and Ogre do not work together.
So Night Watchman is just a
woman.
strong player.
The demon.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. But the Night Watchman is just a broken, strong power. Much like it's a one-way confirmation, but it's much like I don't know any kind of spy type confirmation. But this one's mechanical, like a virgin, but not as public, right? But
I'll
with
throw out there that the Night Watchman is really bad with the demon type because if the Leech picks the Night Watchman, oh look, Leech host.
yes,
The Nodashi sat
Also
next
bad,
to the
yeah.
Night Watchman. Oh look, you might have a Nodashi next to you.
Yeah.
So
it can really point out who the demon is.
I was all over
the
on
power
this.
does not go off.
I went back and forth on if I like the Night Watchman on here, and you're right. It's due to the 3 demons that exist. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's kind of weird. It just is a thing, maybe, where some games it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a weird puzzle where they're like, is this a Legion doing a fucking play? Because this is probably one of the more, I guess, easily bluffed Night Watchman didn't work type scripts.
Yeah.
Right, where it's like, I didn't get the ping. There's a lot of scripts that doesn't really work. But, like, both of your demons, Poison and Legion, is just lying.
Correct.
So there's a strong chance it's a Night Watchman that didn't work. Or an evil player lying, and you're still, like, a little hesitant to do anything with it. So, that's interesting. But on the, I don't know, any other thoughts on Night Watchman? I'm okay with it, I guess.
I don't...
Could be a Boom Dandy, that's another thing. Don't forget Boom Dandy on here makes a lot of people anxious.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't it work? Guess you should kill me.
Leech Boom Dandy's interesting.
I love Leech Boom Dandy. So
yeah,
good.
the Boom Dandy just has to pretend they're poisoned by the Leech or something, and they should be tested or something like that.
I like the Paranoia. This has some Stage 5 Clinger vibes with the Paranoia, with the demon types, and Boom Dandy's a nice touch on there. But we do have Engineer on this script. And me and Alexis, we were looking at this thing, and Alexis's thoughts were, right away, put a Nodashi in every game. I don't feel that way, but I get it.
See why. Yeah.
I would think that I was saying Scarlet Woman Godfather, but Alexis is like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't put a Scarlet Woman in. I'm like, it's fine by me.
If you're an engineer in a Legion game and you make an Odashi, what happens?
So you cannot be an engineer in a Legion game.
Oh, it's just not. It doesn't even exist, right? So once you're a lead engineer, oh yeah, okay, then you just make.
Although you can have
the cannibal, right? That's what Ozian's gonna say. The stupid interaction.
Oh wait, hold on, yeah.
The answer is register them as whatever you're trying to do, and then nothing happens. It doesn't work though because the demon can technically change. So you're just putting a demon into play with Legion.
I just don't. Yeah, the engineer is just a wild one on here. I don't know.
Now, I looked at the engineer a lot. So I was trying to figure it out, and I don't think there's a perfect choice on here for the engineer, that's good. That's step one. Engineer is already like a shite role to actually put on scripts, but at least that's a thing. And then, yeah, if they're not drunk, they know it's a Legion game, so that's good. They can mess with the demons, yada yada, but it is pretty strong. It's similar to the Night Watchman, where maybe it just works with the amount of droidsing. I don't know. I could be convinced that the engineer sucks, just because it usually sucks.
I mean, the optimal choice is probably make an Odashi, right?
I think it is.
Try to figure out where the poisoning is.
Because either you're the drunk who didn't do anything, you made an Odashi, or you're sitting next to an Odashi, or your leech hosted and you didn't do anything. Like, you just make an Odashi, then kill yourself and see what the hell happens.
All right, let's go through like a checklist of things, and then you guys can give your last thoughts for this. So we have outsider modification in a few different ways. Legion, we've got Godfather, we've got Balloonist, right? You also technically have Drunk. I won't maybe say that every time, but Drunk is definitely an outsider mod because it allows another outsider to be bluffed, right? Reasons for death at night, we have Legion, so that's great. The reason for evil to die at night, that is important on a lot of scripts. If you don't have a script that does that, then most of the time you can just trust any dead player that gets killed in the night, right? Mm-hmm. So I think a script, and you'll notice on all base 3 scripts, there's some reason that an evil would die at night. I think it's just crucial to a script working for the most part. Yeah, and then misinfo balance. How you guys feel about that on here?
Low droidening, right? Which is probably fine because you're.
It's like mid droidening, right? You got a widow, you got a drunk, you got the recluse, you got both demons, and then Legion if you want to count out the line.
Widow is one specific always poison that you will hear about, right? So that's the one. So I don't really think of it that highly.
It's like a Schrodinger's poison though, right? Because everybody's like, oh fuck, am I widow poison? Oh no, maybe it's me.
It depends on the setup and what you hear. I mean, you could, but then with Leech and Odashi, I think they're very specific.
There is one interaction on here that's droizen / misinfo related that I'm not in love with, but it's very strong. It's fun to put in a script, but goddamn does it suck when you're that role. It's the Oracle when a recluse dies.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Your information is arbitrary rest of the game, it feels like.
Yeah, it puts the storyteller in a bind too. They're like, do I immediately say one? Or do I wait and then once you say a number, you can't take it back, right? Or you realize you're confirming a recluse is
Juicy did that once to me, which he was trying to signal, hey, you've been getting shite info the whole game on the recluse, like, not helping, and I was just more confused. So I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, last thoughts on this. For me, this feels like a lot of replayability, a lot of different options.
Yeah. Playable.
I would play this instantly. My thoughts would be I'd be very sad if a Scarlet Woman was in game with the leech. That is my main thing. Everything else I can live with and have fun with and work around. But
yeah, I think it's definitely a playable script, and it definitely has multiple setups that are interesting and worth trying for sure.
You love it, Hosian?
I agree with you guys. I think it's playable. I'm not like completely 100% in love, but it's definitely on the good side of things.
Hell yeah. All right, let's move on to our next one. That way we can keep this shit going. Okay, this is Fractalhack. I thought it was You Got That Dog in Me, but apparently the actual script's called You Got a Friend in Me. You got that dog in you? That dog? Mama, come back, that dog. Okay, his write-up is... And he's had a few changes, too. Blah, blah, blah. Some emotional stuff. He's telling a story about his life, yada, yada. All right. All right, his write-up. I feel like other folks have done a decent job highlighting the ogre's ability to swap alignments. So his main focus with this script was to emphasize the ogre's ride-or-die vibe You got that dog in you, right? And include lots of characters that intrinsically create relationships. So that's the theme we're going to be looking at as we look at this.
Oh, relationships.
All the starting info roles focus on the aspect, that aspect, while providing some good info. Marionette gives excellent minion-y twist to the theme, while Harpy can turn the truest of friends against each other. The Kazali player gets to show off their giving spirit and show their friends receive their favorite minion roles. Leech literally has a friend in you. Say no more. A sub-theme of the script is evident in the roles like High Priestess, Fisherman, Magician, where the town may have access to powerful information, but must filter it through social cues to get the most benefit. Rarely is the info purely mechanical. Due to this, misinformation is relegated largely to the outsiders with the Sweetheart and the Puzzle Master. If I said information, I meant misinformation. Yeah, that was his write-up. Let's see. First thing that we got here is... What the fuck are my notes? Yeah, the minions. So, we have... I want to look at all the evil team together, because we have some weird shit going on. If you're the Kazali on this script, Sammiches, who the fuck?
Make a pit hag.
Making a pit hag. What's number 2 on here?
Probably Harpy.
Are you ever putting a Godfather in? I mean, why?
No, you're right. You'd have to trust your... No, because you could end up accidentally making the outsiders your...
So the Godfather is weird and arbitrary, right?
I feel like, yeah, I guess the Godfather's not doing much on a Kazali. There are 4 demons.
If you put a pit hag and a harpy in, you can at least put the Godfather in later, right? I guess you could use it to get knowledge of the outsiders in play for the pit hag.
That is true. You could.
Yeah, it does combo well with the pit hag. You know which
fair.
outsiders in play, so then you change the other ones.
That is one, yeah.
The other people to the other ones, and then the Godfather has 4 options to kill during the day, right?
Right, and the
And then an
Godfather
extra kill at
started at something. So they have in a Kazali game, they have a bluff. They can, because usually a Godfather gets called
That's
out.
a good point,
on
Sandwiches.
claiming- It's not the worst, but it is more of an info gather. It's like a weird, cheap spy.
Ooh, does that combo with anything? I'm not seeing it. I
Pit
say
hag.
grandmother.
The pit hag,
Sorry, I
right?
meant like
Because-
as a bluff. So if they have this information on outsiders and they're already a townsfolk role, I'm not seeing a librarian. That would have been pretty strong with that combo actually. Grandmother's a little tricky because you got to know exactly who it is. At least librarian, you could fish and say, hey, I got to ping on you and somebody else.
Yeah, I think your librarian's the best bet. Pixie obviously doesn't work with an outsider, so that doesn't work.
Okay, you guys have convinced me Godfather's okay. But it's always going to be pit hag. Literally, every time.
It is always going to be pit hag. You're never going to pick Marionette.
Yeah. Marionette's the meme pick, right? If you're doing that, you're just like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's a 15-player game, and you've...
It's a Peter
Need an
Griffin
extra.
laugh. Or whatever. I don't know. I'm not doing that, right? But I get why it's on there. It works for the other ones. It doesn't have any other synergy outside of the Kazali not picking them. It seems to just work with the other.
We've also got the
demons.
Kazali King Jinx, right? So, or Choir Boy Jinx. So.
Don't wait till I fucking get to the Kazali picking all these townsfolk. This game gets broken. Do you want to jump into that? Let's jump into that.
We're talking about demons, right? So we got to look at who the Kazali can turn. A pixie, you're screwed.
It gets rough, okay? If they pick the king, right? And I believe it's not even Oh, it is. It's the Choir Boy Jinx, right? They get told no. Are you fucking kidding? So they know a Choir Boy is in play immediately.
Then they know the king.
And they know the king. Also, we have a pit hag with the king.
Yeah.
You know where the
also-
king is, just change him, and now you can kill him all day. It doesn't help.
Yeah, Pit Hag King is as bad as Assassin King. You're just getting rid of the king. You're making him the drunk.
Yeah.
Technically, most of the time, probably, or something like that. So.
Yeah, so that's part of it. You can the same exact instance would happen with potentially the Huntsman Damsel, but they fixed that recently, right? I think that's a new jinx that got added. If they pick the damsel, then the Huntsman creates a new damsel somewhere. I believe that.
Oh,
That's
kind of is rough, right? Because then
They get a free
can't
bluff,
out.
right?
Yeah, they do know that a Kazali's in play. But
Well,
I guess
that's
it
true
works
too.
'cause the damsel
Oh my
isn't
God! Yeah,
there.
the player who became the
They're not gonna announce
damsel
it, though.
learns there's.
They have a free
They
bluff.
announce it once they die.
Yeah, that's
Once
true.
they
didn't
die,
think
then they're
about
like,
that.
"Hey,
Wow.
it's a Kazali gang."
Good point, Hosian. I didn't think about that
Wow.
either. That's fucking weird. That's so much info. I don't know.
It is, but they
That's the
can't. They can
reverse
say it while
side.
they're alive.
And
That's
the
the bad
damsel
part.
literally has a free bluff. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's.
But you're right, Hosian. It's kind of the going back to the Spy Widow previous hate jinx, where they like know it's a Kazali game, but they can't say anything.
Yeah.
They're like, it's. I think it's Kazali, guys.
But, like I said, once they die, as soon as they die, they can out that, right? So that's
Right.
helpful to town.
Yeah. That's one problem. I have some other notes on here with regards to they would pick. The marionette makes for illegal setup sometimes on the script. There's no recluse to fix that, so you just have to do the alternate setup, or you just have to re-rec a lot of the time, because you do have just a marionette here. You can't throw a recluse to save that. It has the same issue with the Night Watchman, right? And then, what if you picked the Night Watchman with the goddamn Kazali? I guess Kazali's who saw you then. It's like,
right?
You ain't
Or
doing
they're the
shit.
drunk. Or they're the drunk at some point.
When I throw out the Oho with the choir boy and king, it
Also
kind of
bad.
feels bad.
Yes. Oh, that was a note that I had on here and didn't even read. That is
They
100%
just
true.
Take out the choir boy and then take out the king, right? Like,
Auto F. You don't even have to take out the king. You can just kill the choir boy and wait for the
That's
appropriate
fair,
amount of
yeah.
days, because the king's not doing shit.
Yeah.
Which again, that's probably a more design error on the king, at least for it being on the current scripts that exist. I think king is meant for a different type of script. Yeah, I don't know. I still do have an issue with the Godfather setup ability not being used with the Kazali, but I'm over it a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of 4 demons, so I mean, it exists for other stuff too, so it's not like the end of the world.
What's the ogre doing on this script, right? I mean, they're picking people. You got the marionette. You got a damsel, I guess, that's gonna lie.
Yeah, you got a damsel, you got a marionette, magician, choir boy, king. Should be interesting.
Yeah.
To be a demon saying I'm the I'm the ogre that picked you.
The Moonchild feels a little broken on here, doesn't it?
Moonchild picking.
So there's only a couple ways multi-kills happen, and one of them's the Oho, right? So Pithag Demon Change, Godfather, Moonchild,
Moonchild
and
Leech is interesting
Grandmother.
because the Moonchild can win a Leech game.
Yeah.
So
Actually, Alexis brought that up. That's a good point. And
it's a spicy win, but yeah, the Moonchild could just end your Leech game immediately.
It's also really, really difficult for the Moonchild to be bluffed by the evil team. You'd have to
Correct,
specifically be
right.
the Oho and ask. Or Demon Change and ask for that specific interaction to work. Which is also weird, because how are you bluffing it if you're dying? Right?
Yeah.
So if you're the it takes kills, it's not happening.
You're a minion bluffing it and trying to frame somebody as evil, basically. You're trying to frame the Night Watchman who used it as evil or something bad. I don't know.
This does have the Leech Sailor, which I am whatever on. I'm kind of mid on that. I don't really have a strong opinion either way
I think
anymore.
that's standard. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's.
You don't have to give him that bluff.
I think it's technically just you ignore that person when they proc anyway, so it's stronger for the good team. In my
Chambermaid
opinion.
seemed like an interesting choice here.
Yeah. So Chambermaid, what did I write for that? Because I believe every single Sailor is very comfortable. Chambermaid picking players that do not wake Knight 2 forward are all good players. Okay.
Yeah.
The only exception is the Godfather, if there's no outsider that was killed. But every demon wakes up. All of probably the Marionette, but the Pit Hag and the Harpy wake up. You found non-demons when you get zeros, which is strong. But you could treat the Chambermaid as a demon finder, I guess.
Oh, and there's not much poison. Again, Leech, Nodashi, and Drunk, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and Sailor. Oh, we got the Sailor too, I guess. But that's...
Yeah, the misinfo on this one is specifically what you mentioned, right? As well as the, you got the Drunk and the
drunk
Marionette.
village idiot.
My
somewhere.
issue comes back to Pit Hag, Drunk, Marionette. Feels very easy, very lazy choices.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's the optimal choice as a Pit Hag. When you know there's not a Marionette in play, to make the first person a Marionette as far when you think that they have a strong ability.
A lot of our issues are coming back to the Pit Hag. Almost a lot
Pit
of
Hag's
issues.
strong. The Pit Hag on a script, it warps a script. Yeah, you have to look at every single character at that point because they can make anybody that's not in play. So when you give them the choices of Drunk, Damsel, and Marionette, they're gonna take them because they're good. And so Pit Hag Ogre is fun. I understand why people want to do it, right? You're basically a
fun.
mez. You're somewhat of a mez, and that's fun. That's a cool interaction. But then you have to think about every other person that you're putting on the script. Otherwise, you're just gonna have an unbalanced mess.
Yeah.
But yes, I do love Pit Hag Ogre, and I think it is fun. I just don't know if this isn't the script for it. I don't know if there is a script for it, but that is an interaction that people probably want to see, and I would like to see it. I just don't know on this script if I'd want to see it.
This script definitely highlights Pit Hag more than Ogre. Because I want a Pit Hag in my game. Because I am just hidden as a Pit Hag. I'm fucking putting every outsider in play. I'm putting Marionette in play. Yeah, that's another thing with the Ghazali picking a Pit Hag and Godfather. You know there's no Marionette, right? You're just always going to add that as well. If that's your first night that you can do it. Your second one is Drunk, probably. But, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've said
One
enough
issue
about
I'd have
that.
with making a marionette is it can lead to the demon looking like an Odashi.
That's
and then
also a
killing your
problem.
demon.
Yeah.
So
That
I
is
probably
an
would be a
issue,
little
yeah.
wary of that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? So I guess we can go through the standard stuff. Like Outsider mod is heavily on here with the Ghazali and the Godfather. We've got
That's good.
demon survivability. We got a pit hag that can move. The leech just doesn't die, right? No dash is probably the weak one on here for it. Ghazali can put a pit hag in place, so they're less worried. But no dash, he's at the mercy of whoever's running the game that day. So unfortunately, you just might get
Oho
fucked.
too. The Oho as well.
Oh yeah, the Oho I forgot was on there. Yeah, and like the only reason for evil to die at night here is either the magician, where they get confused and like that's a weird world, right?
Or a pit hag change.
Or a pit hag demon change,
Yeah.
right? So otherwise, I am trusting most dead players. I'm just walking up and be like, "What's up? I'm
Yep.
the damsel. Please."
We also have a pit hag leech, so if a Ghazali made a pit hag, they eventually can make the leech, and then it just creates an unsolvable game at some point. Like it's not fun for town. It's a pretty much unfun interaction for the majority of players on the group.
Yeah, I'm not saying I wouldn't play this script, but I would have a lot of issues, and I'm sure that some of our more critical thinkers in the group would probably be like, "Damn, that's not a fun setup." Like,
There are setups in here that work. Yeah, it's just not the replayability is probably low with how many bad interactions you're trying to avoid.
yeah, I'm probably
Or
not
how
running
many similar
Ghazali
games.
if I'm running this for
I don't
people.
think we've mentioned Grandmother and Pixie have very similar abilities.
That's a good point, Hosian. What is the problem with that on a script where you have 13 fucking townsfolk?
Just similar abilities can sometimes work together really well and kind of screw over evil. In this case, it's two people finding two good players. That's not good.
It's kind of funny because you can combo them as well. And really, you could balance this with like a Legion type game. Because there's going to be multiple people claiming dumb shit like that, and then that's okay. But this doesn't have Legion. So these are fulfilling one purpose. And it would be funny to have a Pixie that sees either the same character as the grandmother, or to see the grandmother and claim that there's something. It is funny. Like, that interaction can work. But I think Pixie's on here more for the evil team to bluff, which is...
I think I like Legion instead of Ghazali on here. That solves a lot of my issues.
Might work. Might work. You can fake Harpy. You just gotta...
You can fake pit hag. Yeah, you can fake all that.
Yeah, everybody's just like, I got change. I'm not gonna say what it
Going
was.
back to your point, Joe, I don't think you need the Pixie because there's a lot of reasons for double claim, even from good. You got Damsel, you got Fireball, you got Moonchild potentially. So there's reasons that good double claims too. I don't really think that's that necessary.
I agree with that. I think Grandmother's more flexible if he's gonna go for the outsider. If he's gonna go for the chain, like the stringing together pairs, like he's doing. Like, I have some suggestions for that, but this is obviously his script. But I would remove Pit Hag, but I would keep Grandmother because Grandmother can combo so well with some of the outsiders on here. It is one way you can confirm the Ogre's alignment, right? Because the Grandmother has to see a good player. But you know what a drunk grandmother's seeing an ogre? Kind of funny. Kind of funny. All right, any last thoughts on this? I feel like the replayability on this is kind of low due to the hamstring setups that we'll run into.
Yeah, a little bit lower than what I'd want to do, probably.
If you're running this, you got to be a pretty experienced ST too. Both balancing the bag and the interactions that are going to happen.
You can't hit random on this, no.
Fuck no. That'd be wild. Okay. All right, any thoughts? Otherwise, I'll bring up the next script, Hosey.
Bring up the next.
Let's go.
You good?
All right. Josh K getting Ogre Whelmed. Love it. We're back on them good puns. Okay.
Did you know ogre sounds like over?
I didn't realize that. I can't wait to read your script name in a little bit. Okay. Ogre could be interesting on a script with a lot of alignment checkers, but also a lot of misinformation. Drunk VI, drunk Pucka, Vortox, Vigor. Yeah. and they all add confusion to town. Add that to some sneaky minions. Sneaky. Maybe a Harpy lock player, an assassin holding it in case a puck-up poison player is executed. An evil twin, yes, thanks. An evil twin registering as good in a Vortox. Most of the roles are easy evil bluffs, though they run the risk of being early Vortox food. This will probably be a script that will require people to depend on socials more than hard evidence, and forming a chain of trust is going to be especially difficult. I think this is far from finished script. I have a few ideas for edits, but I think I'll need a couple of playthroughs to identify the weaknesses. Okay. Thoughts on the evil team before I jump in? I gotta pull up something.
I think it's good. I mean, if we're gonna take the evil team in a vacuum, but obviously Assassin King, not great.
Yeah, combine it all. Just bring it all together, but while focusing,
Harpy,
I guess, on
I don't
the
like
evil
Harpy
team.
King either, actually. So Harpy King and Assassin King, it just lets evil. Like I do think evil should gang up on the king, but I mean Assassin King is just a done deal, right? You just kill him whenever you want to or whatever. Baron's great.
That's been my stance, by the way, Colin, fucking Sammiches. But I've been in I was reading something from Colin. I was in a kind of a spot in a discussion with Josh, who's the author of this script, and then JuicyBerry, and they had the opinion that the assassin and the king are mostly okay because it confirms an assassin is in game. I don't love that at all.
It doesn't really matter for solving the game.
That doesn't make me feel good as the choir boy.
Really? Because
Right, you're sitting there as a choir boy now.
Vortox and stuff, so I could have just killed the king knowing it's a Vortox, right? And the choir boy's gonna get bad info.
Oh, as the demon.
Really confirm there's.
No, I'm saying if the assassin kills.
Oh, we're
the
talking
king,
about when the choir boy doesn't get info in that scenario.
Yeah, when the choir boy doesn't get info and
that's
the
right.
king
Okay.
dies, and he's the only. There's
Yeah.
2 deaths, right? There will be 2 deaths most of the time, and the king's dead as one of them. I mean, they're not a gossip kill.
That'd be wild if you're a
unless
fucking.
you're wild SD and you gossip kill the king.
Choir boy could be drunk.
No, you gossip kill the king if the gossip is specifically, I think X is the demon and they are the demon, then you just murder the king right away.
Yeah. You do that, or if you really want to fuck with evil and it's a choir boy's a bluff, then you gossip kill the fucking king, and then put him on the spot to come up with
There you
whatever.
go. Yeah,
That's-
but yeah, I think the minions are good though. You don't see a lot of evil twin because people hate playing it. I think it's fine. There's a lot of solvers.
You don't like Harpy King though? Why? What's wrong with that?
I just think it's another role that sticks it on the king, and punishes them for drawing the king. I think Sarah Nova's king is fine because
Because it's the
Sarah
king's
Nova's madness
choice.
it's the king's choice, right? The harpy, you just make someone else mad at the harpy. Like I'm a person who breaks harpy madness sometimes, right?
Got it. You're saying you're a player who was pointed at the king. You could be good. You could be evil, throwing like away. And you're thinking, hey, if you break this, you're ruining not only your own role, you're ruining the choir boy that's
King
in play. The
and
king.
the choir boy, yeah.
I see it.
Suddenly, you've messed up town with. It's a super strong play, so you're always just gonna. You're also kind of confirming the king, if you're trying to, if you're not being careful about it as a harpy. But if you just make one person mad over and over again, and they just, eventually break it, then you've done so much for your team that I just feel like that's the optimal play there. I don't think it's broken. I just think I'm picking the king as the second part of the harpy for most of the time.
That's fair.
Just 'cause.
Yeah. I guess I'm not as because of the agency that's there. Whereas the assassin, you get no agency unless you killed him.
Well, the king has no agency if they're the person being mad.
Oh, I meant
as being evil.
the good team has agency potentially. I mean, it's a dick move, but it's also a evil player dying if they're gonna put it on an evil player and break it. Fine, whatever. But yeah, I get it. That does not feel the best. That's fine. And maybe on this script, there's enough other ways for the king to get bad info that the harpy and assassin aren't even needed here. It feels like the assassin's on here because the gossip's on here. Right?
Why is the assassin and gossip on here?
I mean, there's a puck up, but like...
that's what he said, right? It was to help a pucka out most of the time.
I guess. I don't even think you need it, though. It's fine. We have a soldier on here. Potentially they sank to sell either one of those worlds. Potentially the demon's dead, right? And it's an evil twin game, and they sank on purpose for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, yeah, that's fine. Let me roll back up my thoughts on this one. So, I was thinking, we have a couple here that kind of mess with setup, and one that's very loud, right? So we're in this scenario, kind of like my script that I think still needs some work, where you got a Baron, and you've got loud evil twins, and maybe somebody's harpy mad. and there's no reason for the extra outsiders outside of the Baron. That can be a problem because it's 2 extra outsiders. I guess you do have a lot of quiet outsiders. Damsel.
Yeah,
Trunk.
the Damsel, Klutz maybe, depending on how they want to play.
Yeah, it's fine, I guess. All right, that works. I do think that... Oh, there's a balloonist on here. I forgot.
Is this our first Vig Ogre? I love Vig and Ogre.
Seems like it. I don't remember seeing Vig on the
Ogre
other 2, yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah, gives you that free bluff, right?
It gives you a free bluff, but it also lets an Ogre hide. If there is an Ogre that turns evil and they know it, like they pick the Recluse, they're hidden. They don't have to come out, and they can mess up the outsider count for town. Or they can... Yeah, no, they can sell a Vig world easier, right? Because if there's an outed Recluse or something, they don't have to say anything, and now people are living in a Vig world, and it's a Vortox or something. I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm coming around more on
the
Vig.
Ogre.
I guess Vig Baron is weird and interesting because the Vig killing the Baron doesn't... I mean, the Baron's already done their thing.
Vig Assassin is very scary. We've been in games where we're like, is the game going to be over when we go to sleep tonight? We don't know.
Yeah. Vig Evil Twin, I mean, that's on the base script together, so it's... I can't say it doesn't work. It does have
Vig Harpy's good too.
Yeah, those are all good. I mean, the worlds that you're selling between these 3 are pretty strong because we do have no demon movement on this script at all.
Yeah.
And we have an artist.
Yeah. Well, you got a Vortox.
I'll also throw out the Gossip. You don't have a lot of ways for multiple deaths outside of the Assassin. So as soon as you have 2 deaths, like 2 nights in a row, you know the Assassin might have used it one day.
Yeah.
And then the Gossip is probably gossiping right. Feels kind of bad for
I think the Gossip
Vortox.
is more concerning than the artist.
Yeah, it feels bad for Vortox, I think, because usually when you figure out it's a Vortox game, that's super strong info for town. And the Gossip can solve that. And if there's 3 deaths in a night, that's even worse, right? Because then you know an Assassin went off and a Gossip went off.
Then it's a hard Gossip.
So I think the Gossip is kind of strong on this script, to be honest.
That's true. I mean, what is the point? I mean, going to the outsiders real quick, we have a Damsel and a Klutz. Is that kind of overlapping? I mean, I don't see the need. I get that there's enough outsider manipulation here for 5, but I don't think that the 5...
The Damsel's on here because of the Huntsman, and you can potentially have 5 outsiders in play, right?
But would you, though?
Or no, 4? Is it just 4 outsiders?
There's a balloonist. So you can make it happen.
You could have it 5. I think that's just for mechanical setup reasons that he has 5 on here. Because that was my first thing when I saw this, too. I was like, why is there 5 outsiders? But then I saw the balloonist.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Gossip's strong. Gambler's confirmable for the most part, right, Hosian? So similar to the Gossip. But I'm always okay with Gambler being...
Yeah, Gambler's fine. It's a one-shot, right? The Gossip...
It's kind of like a virgin.
The Gossip's like a reusable artist.
There's a repercussion for it.
The issue is this artist and Gossip maybe combined will just solve most games.
That too.
I don't think you even need
but if you have both of
the
them,
Gossip
it's really strong.
Because the demon can't move. The demon can't move. That's always a problem when you have really, really powerful town. The game usually just ends pretty quickly. And
well,
I feel
mean,
like
on the artist's home script, it's just the Fangu that can move, right? So it's like... You also have the twins. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to balance an artist. This goes into replayability. You're not going to, again, not going to hit random on this script. If you put an artist in, you have to think about what that's going to do to town.
That's true. This script is leaning on the alternate win conditions, it seems like a little bit, right? We got Vortox, Evil Twin, we've got Klutz, Damsel, and then I guess if you're thinking from the other side, and this is a soft win condition, but killing the king and the choir boy seeing where the demon is, that's like a win condition for good. I guess the presence of a damsel does keep everybody kind of shady. So you can't have your claim space be filled up. There is no village. Oh, there is a village idiot. Never mind.
I was gonna say village idiot on this script's kind of interesting too. You got village idiot, evil twin. I mean, the Vortox helps, right?
Yeah.
And a drunk
village idiot, evil twin, and then you also have village idiot, empath, which could work together. Village idiot, investigator. I think the Vortox is the main thing that helps with that, but village idiot can really help solve worlds with a lot. Knowing any of the information with the other.
Same for Town Crier, right? Town Crier can solve.
Oh, yep, there too. Yeah, there's a lot of good combos here that I think can be a little deadly when used together.
How do you feel about swapping Klutz for like a Hatter?
You just want the demon to be able to move.
Just something.
Then a Barber. I wouldn't put the Hatter, but I'd put the Barber.
But the Barber doesn't work well with Evil Twin.
That's true.
I always look to like, who are they swapping with, right? And also Vig, if you're running standard Barber, doesn't work with Barber. I
don't like Hatter Evil Twin either, because you're the good twin. You don't even realize your twin's gone.
That happens in base script, right? Pit Hag changes out the Evil Twin almost every game, at least for some of mine.
Yeah.
Either way, it's fine. Yeah,
I don't think the demon has to move. I think you just got to be a good demon.
That's fair.
The demon could be stuck.
So that goes to my thoughts on demon survivability, right? I think it's low. I think the only thing on this script, besides the alternative win conditions, is the Evil Twin, right? Like, that is mechanically true. And selling a world where all of the very, very powerful townsfolk are all bullshit, and there's just enough mixing of info for this not to be the solve.
I think hence the alternative win conditions, right? It's to balance the demon that can't move.
It's fair. It's fair. I think that's probably true, yeah. The outsider manipulation is pretty high on this one, right? The Vigor Mortis allows, evil to die at night, so there's not a reason to trust everybody.
Yep.
And then the misinfo balance here is where things get a little janky, because I don't think there's enough here, even though there is a lot. Vortox does not carry scripts like that. Did you have a Gossip? You have a Gambler. Those are just true info, right? Because they're mechanical info. I guess the info maybe is mid, so maybe the misinformation doesn't have to be crazy high.
Village Idiot can be drunk.
There's no Demon Finder, right? Like just Balloonist if you count it. I think Balloonist Vortox is pretty shite. Just FYI.
That's pretty bad. I'd be pretty mad.
And honestly, there's no reason to give the Balloonist correct pings, even like, how you're like, oh, I just shifted the tokens. No, that's the Vortox's ability to make it garbage, so sorry.
Right, they're just seeing 4 townsfolk.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind it being on the script, right? You just got to be careful when you put them in the same game together. It just doesn't help for any worlds.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I guess the noble can just trust their info. Or it's, I mean, you solve for the Vortox and then you figure out if it's a puck. I mean, I don't think it's awful. I don't, Town Crier solving what can even solve Vortox? Town Crier, Empath if they get some wild numbers, Artists can ask their question, and then a Gossip can mechanically solve a Vortox in certain games. I don't know, it seems mostly balanced.
Yeah, I mean, I would try I have some holdups on it. So my biggest things are just to call back to the Assassin King situation. I think I'd feel bad to be a king in these games, or Choir Boy more than the king, honestly. But yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about my favorite thing on here, which is the one reason I would pull this out. Evil Twin Ogres. Such a stupid fucking interaction, and I love it. So, how does that even work, Sammiches? Like, the night order I'll pull up, and then you talk through it.
Just some fun storyteller tips. In any Ogre Evil Twin script that you're running, always show the Evil Twins at the end of the day. Because if there's an Ogre, and they are the Evil Twin with an Evil Twin, the Ogre goes last, so the Ogre can then pick the Evil Twin, become evil, and the Evil Twin has to get a new twin. So you've gone the whole night order, and then you wake someone up again, or whatever you've done with them in the past, and now they're getting info that they have an Evil Twin. If the Ogre can't hide, then it's obvious the Ogre's evil, and they were the original twin choice.
Counterpoint to that, I think because you can fuck up a lot of the game by doing that, you are supposed to run all of these rolls after they know if they're an Evil Twin, because they might check their Evil Twin for Vortox and such.
Oh, man.
So this does create an issue where you absolutely... if you just don't want an extra evil, just don't show the Ogre the Evil Twin. It's still a fun interaction, right? Because they might pick one of the twins, which is funny because they don't know what team they're on, but they know that they're fucking ride or die with that minion.
I love that.
That is fun.
So maybe just don't put them on a team. It's kind of like Damsel, right? Don't Evil Twin the Damsel. Don't Evil Twin the Ogre.
You're dangling that carrot in front of me. I'm gonna take it.
I'm taking it.
I'm taking it every time.
I want to be very clear. If you're a storyteller that makes the twin see the Ogre, fine. It's funny. Do it. I think it's okay.
I've been.
You are getting an extra evil confirmed because
evil knows you're on their team.
The twin will get a new.
So did you say Evil Twin and Damsel? That is the worst decision I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's pretty fun actually. No, I'm just kidding.
What, Evil Twin Damsel?
I'm kidding. Don't do that. I'm doing it.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
We need more Alchemist Evil Twins. All right. Any other thoughts on this? This is our first Evil Twin one. Might be our only one, because I'm not sure if Nolan fixed his shit. Okay. And by the way, I mean, running this thing would be probably pretty mid storyteller level, but you do have a Vortox, and Alexis fucks that up all the time, so just keep that in mind. All right. Next one. Let's bring up Mallow's script. It's called Misplaced Judgement. What a name.
Oh, there is a Spirit of Ivory on here.
I know, our first one. I'm assuming, just for anybody listening, I'm assuming Spirit of Ivory for all of these. I'm never not assuming that. Okay, that is not the game that I'm playing.
This one needs it.
Oh, no, this one actually doesn't
This
want
one's
it. We'll
getting
go into
shite
why.
on pretty hard, but I want to give him a fair shake. So let's walk through it, because Mallow put a lot of effort into clicking random buttons on the script creator. So I want to make sure that we respect that. I'm just teasing you, Mallow. Okay. The script right up. The script is based around the Spirit of Ivory, and the fact that I already want to comment, but it's based around the Spirit of Ivory and the fact that the ogre does not know when they choose a player. If the bounty hunter is in play, the ogre may choose an evil player but still remain good. Oh my god. The evil team can use this to string along an ogre player. They're still gonna think they're evil, Mallow. That's the issue. There's also a pit hag and cannibal that can produce a second proc for the ogre. Love that. Love the combo. With that in mind, there's some townsfolk roles that help focus on what players specifically are, but not necessarily their alignment. So a lot of not alignment checkers on this one. The knight learns who is not the demon. The washerwoman learns who is not the player. Chambermaid learns what the demon. Blah blah blah. Gambler, Undertaker, and then he says there's some that roles that help narrow down the stuff. Investigator, Savant, Cannibal. What were we gonna say?
I do like that bounty hunter ogre change. That's interesting, actually. Now I'm thinking about it, because with the Spirit of Ivory, the ogre can't be evil.
I have so many thoughts on that.
A bounty hunter has to like shout from the high heavens that they can't be evil.
You better believe him. Yeah, that part is funny. So my biggest issues with this, let's just fucking rip the band-aid off. The Mez is useless on this script.
Yeah.
Mez is terrible.
If I'm the Mez, I'm sad.
I think it's funny that an ogre can take away the Mez's ability. It is terrible for the Mez, but it is very funny.
They're just sitting there and doing nothing.
That's the ogre being an outsider for the evil team, not good.
That's not the definition of an outsider.
The ogre can do it, the goon can do it, the bounty hunter can do it. There's a lot of ways for the Mez to...
If the ogre turns evil, the goon is just stuck good.
I'm okay with that, oddly enough, because the goon is still an outsider with the droisening.
But again, the goon is...
They don't know that they can't turn evil. They're going to be shifty and shady.
I mean, they waste a poisoner who thinks they're turning them evil.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I wouldn't put them together. But that is...
I was going to say,
and here's the other issue. The goon can get picked first.
Yeah.
Right? Because night one, the poisoner or the marionette might pick them, right? Or
yeah, and then the ogre picks
the
poisoner
Kazali might pick
evil.
them. Oh, that's different. Never mind. They get changed into a minion of that world. Yeah, that's a problem. I think the ogre, the issue with the idea that Mallow has, and it's funny because it is okay. The problem is the ogre doesn't know that they didn't turn evil. So they just have to play with the thought that their brain is that.
Which is an outsider, right? Like, that's the most outsider you could be, is you're playing for evil thinking you're evil and you're good. That's an outsider by definition, but it messes up evil in some of these situations with the Mez and the goon.
You're convincing me with the Spirit of Ivory bounty hunter ogre situation.
That's pretty funny.
Because it is funny.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That one I'm okay with because it's an evil townsfolk, right? So there's one extra evil. It's an evil townsfolk.
Yeah.
Ogre, let's say the ogre picks that townsfolk. They're going to be, in like worst case scenario, they pick the evil townsfolk. The evil townsfolk knows that they're not evil. But that's like the most mid, because the evil townsfolk doesn't know their team either. So that's the most mid-evil ogre play you could do. And a bounty hunter eventually comes out, says their names in a non-messed up fashion, and like, you figure all that out. That's fine. The Mez, though, is awful. The goon doesn't work.
I mean, you have a Fangu on here too. Like they're not jumping anymore. If you have an evil bounty hunter,
they can't jump.
Not according to the rules.
Takes away their ability.
The demons don't work with bounty hunter. The bounty hunter ogre is something to look at, not on this screen.
I love the idea on that, Mallow. Sammiches convinced me. Bounty hunter ogre, funny. We'll see in the future, maybe.
Yeah, that's something, but not with a Fangu. Fangu ogre also, you're now stuck. If the ogre's evil, you're now stuck. You can only jump into your evil ogre.
Or the spy.
The Spirit of Ivory. Oh yeah, I guess you could kill your spy and register them. That's funny.
You can. I've done it, and it was a game
that's
that
a good pressure release valve if that happens.
I fucked up the recording for that game, but it was a pretty funny game.
Even evil was confused.
Yeah, you were there, weren't you? That was stupid.
I was.
because there was a snake charming the same night that Bosh had picked Clue to jump into, and they thought that there was a barber swap or something instead. It was really confusing, and then the game just kind of went downhill.
Here's my opinion. If this script didn't have the Spirit of Ivory, I'd be interested in running it, just seeing how buck wild it can be.
You need storyteller controlled kills for that.
No, I want to see how messed up town can get.
You know what? Put a little monster on here. Let's fucking go. Let's figure it out. Just fucking.
I don't know why Kazali's on here either. Like that's.
I can't even give this thing a proper review because there's so many problems that I'm running into. I love that idea.
Kazali's on here because Mallow likes Kazali, right?
It's fair.
And Mallow has a good idea in the ogre and bounty hunter interaction.
It's impossible to balance the bag with Kazali though.
Right? I don't think any of us like a game where the ogre can't just trust whoever they pick though. That's just not the whole point of the ogre is you got a friend. You can't like make it so they can't be on the same alignment as them. You don't want to take away the Mez's ability. The marionette's on here because it's funny.
It is. It's funny.
Yeah.
It works well with the ogre.
Imp is fine. Fangu does not work with the ogre most of the time. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a Poppy Grower on here because why not? So
yeah, and this is also a Kazali optimal pit hag / Mez or poisoner for the other one, and then you could just pit hag the other one in or out.
I do not pick a Mez on this because I don't know if there's an ogre in play or not.
I guess you pit hag the Mez into the ogre to find out.
Oh man,
it's so stupid.
Also, Kazali Poppy Grower just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So.
Mutants on here. The Outsider Suite is fine for what they're trying to achieve because the Bounty Hunter absolutely knows.
Does not work together.
I'm taking the idea that you have. So we're ignoring Mez, we're ignoring Fangu. But the idea of the Bounty Hunter absolutely knowing that there's an evil in play relies on the fact that there's no drunk on the script. That is how they can convince the ogre. I am absolutely the Bounty Hunter. You are absolutely not able to turn evil. You are a good ogre.
Works. Yes.
I don't think you can have a drunk because then the Bounty Hunter might just be wrong. And then the ogre is evil. And that's confusing even more. And really not a solvable thing. Yeah, I mean, just, I guess, a couple of more thoughts. The fucking Poppy Grower, why?
Yeah.
I guess craziness?
Pit Hag Poppy game could just end.
Kazali Poppy, what are we doing? It's problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a note. I don't have a lot of like backup notes because I do think I want to work with Mallow on getting his idea fleshed out, but I just kind of wrote feels bad, man, if I were playing this.
Philo Philosopher, though, no longer bad.
The Philo Bounty?
Yeah, Philo Bounty is no longer bad.
Yeah, the demon survivability I wrote on here, very high. The demons can move, or you could just tell 8 of the 12 players not to vote. You just say, guys, we're going to win. Just stop voting. And it says, reasons for evil to die at night. It's because they feel bad, and the win condition is 2 players left alive, so they have to keep killing. Okay. Yeah.
That's without the Spirit of Ivory, which I think would be fun.
It is. Yeah, we got kind of stupid.
Show everybody why it exists.
Things got a little stupid looking at this script, but yeah, the script I like the ideas. That's kind of where I leave that one. I like the ideas.
A skeleton that can be made into something good.
Any positive feedback for our friend Mallow here, Hosian?
I fucking love it.
Sometimes you just gotta go with the wild thing, and sometimes you just gotta have fun. You know what I mean?
You
go out there, and then you reel it in. You gotta start big, and then you gotta refine it down.
That's true too. When you find a theme, sometimes you gotta go crazy, and then you gotta start to tweak it and balance it.
Yeah. I want to see more of this Bounty Hunter Ogre. I want to see that fleshed out, Mallow. I think you dump every other alignment changer on here and see how that works. I'm curious. Okay, let's move on to Sir Crown. Sir Crown, who submitted 2 scripts, I had to ban one of them and wag my finger and say, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're making it annoying. Okay, and his first one was similar to Mallow's, which is a lot. Okay, his theme is script built for the ogre, but instead of the ogre being tied to someone, everyone is, right? This seems to be a fun, like type of outsider. Everybody wants to do a script like that, and I think Crown hits it pretty well. But a script that is to be an idea about players being connected to another at start or later. Can you read through the evil's lies? Are there 2 players that work together? Are they tied together? Is it evil pretending? I might have butchered how I read that, but so did he, how he wrote it. Okay, then I had some initial thoughts on it, and the initial thoughts that I wrote were The Spy King Choir Boy. Is that still present on here?
That's
Yes.
exactly what I was
Okay.
gonna say.
That's a
That was the
massive
first
issue.
thing that jumped at me.
Yeah, I mean, you nail that every time. And if you want... What is the other one? It is... Oh, that was my only thought initially, was to remove the Spy and add like a no dashi, because that still connects players and it doesn't break the fucking king. Okay, so talk me through your thoughts on the evil team. You can merge it with the good team. We have our evil twins back. Love that.
Yeah, it's the same concept, right? Of a bunch of people pairing together for different reasons, either good or evil, including the ogre. That works. It also works reverse with the harpy, which is fine. Evil twin's great. Marionette's funny.
Would you say thematically this kind of nails it for the evil team? I mean,
aside from the spy, I don't know why the spy's on here, but yeah.
I don't know either, actually.
I think the spy's on here for the alchemist spy jinx. I think
That's the thing. The alchemist
reason.
spy jinx doesn't even exist yet. Wait till we get to talk about the alchemist. I had a lot to write on this one.
I know. I think this was intended for that.
That's fair.
But even then, I don't think you need it. But yeah, you got Legion, they're all friends, which is fun.
I like that. Thematically, the script has a lot of theme.
Leech has their one friend that they want. I think that Butler first time we've seen the Butler, great.
Butler Ogre.
Great.
The Ogre?
Love
Yeah.
Butler and Ogre together. That's fun. Yeah, the theme is really nailed in this, and I think it shows through a lot of the choices of minions and demons and stuff. Fengu is just a little janky.
You got
because they're
DA
ogre.
Leech here?
Yeah.
I mean scrolling through
we've seen
the
it.
script portion above, there's no other reason for Town to survive except for Alchemist, right? It's just DA and Leech.
Yeah, they're either DA protected or the Leech.
Seems kind of random, right? I would just remove DA in my mind, but again, I'm not telling him how to make the script. It's just weird.
I wonder if E-Lady was on here at some point.
Yeah.
Because that also connects you to your neighbors, right? That would also work thematically.
Yeah. I think the demons and the outsiders work. I think the minions. There's the
Fengu's a little
spy is an
janky,
issue.
but
Fengu, yes.
Yeah.
So what do you do? So with Ogre picks a player. Are you just immediate? No, I don't want Fengu Ogre on a script together. Or what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, how do we feel about this has no Spirit of Ivory, so
Let's assume it
works.
does. You're right that it doesn't.
Okay.
Let's assume it does.
Fengu kills an outsider, and if the outsider outs, then they realize there's an evil ogre somewhere. But if the evil ogre hasn't said anything, the ogre should have said something to one of the evil players at that point because they picked him.
That tells the evil team something too, right? When an outsider dies and the Fengu doesn't jump, it's like, okay, what happened?
Actually, you know what? Maybe the ogre in a Fengu game is actually doing even more outsider stuff because it's messing up
The
town
solve.
solving the demon. Yeah, then they're just living in a leech or a legion world, right? So
It's
yeah,
interesting. It's different.
yeah, I mean,
And the ogre doesn't know if they're evil or not. Maybe they don't get jumped to. Maybe they pick a good player, and then the Fengu works as intended.
Yeah, I guess I don't hate it now that I'm thinking about they've got the evil ogre that they could eventually jump into, granted, if they figure out who it is, if they know.
I think you have to explain that to your evil Fengu before the game starts if they're not really paying attention to that. You gotta be like, hey, there's an ogre on script. If they're in game,
Yeah, right. If you don't jump,
right, don't fucking be paranoid. I didn't break the rules. All right, I'm following the rules. I don't want you fucking
Actually,
raging.
yeah, I mean, it's probably fine. Now that I think about it, the amount of times that the Fengu needs to jump immediately and then doesn't. Like,
Yeah, it's
gets
basically
stuck.
Mooney, right? Just trying to get away.
versus later knowing they
Versus
have an
trying to
evil
play
ogre.
the game.
Yeah, I
I'll
think that's,
also throw out it makes it kind of weird for the ogre because if I'm the ogre on a Fengu script, I pick someone. Do I go tell them that I picked them as the ogre because I could be Fengu jump to later, right?
Spicy.
So there's a really
yeah.
interesting thing right there.
Is this our first Fengu besides Mallow, Hosian? I don't remember.
I think so.
I think
We didn't really talk
it.
about it because his script was a little wild, but I think this is it, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I know with this server, a lot of people out themselves as outsider
Oh
on
yeah.
a Fengu script. You really shouldn't.
No.
No. I think I've played like 3 Fengu games where I've been the Fengu and all the outsiders have come out, which I'm like, all right, screw you guys.
You're
Next
just
time, I think I'm just gonna jump into one of those outed outsiders and say good luck. But yeah, so it gives an interesting thing with the ogre because you need to figure out what the person is and vote with them, but not out.
God, I'm
in case.
I 180'd on this. I love the Ogre Fangu.
It's
I'm
interesting.
for it. I think there's pros and cons on both the good side and the evil side, right?
Well, I just love the
Fangu,
idea that
if they want to jump, if they're like, oh my god, now's the time to jump, and then
Yeah.
they don't, whoops. But otherwise, like you said, when the outsider comes down and goes, oh, it's not a Fangu game, haha,
Yeah, that's
right? That's
yeah.
huge. So,
Also, just let's say an ogre picks somebody and they're good, and then they become evil. They become the Fangu. They have to now convince their team, like, no, I'm still the ogre, and we're still on the same team.
Yeah. I mean, it is funny. I would like to see that. I want to see that happen. I guess we can dive a little into the townsfolk and then give our thoughts on
I got
this.
a comment about the townsfolk.
Yeah, let me hear.
Steward, grandmother, Pixie,
I knew you were gonna call
Night
it.
Watchman.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
like
why?
four really.
It's a leech script,
like,
Hosian.
good.
It's leech script. Come on.
Yeah,
But
but
why
like,
are they
come
all on
on.
here, Hosian? It's the theme.
The
That's
I mean,
fair.
I guess, but it's just
I think it's too
4
many.
players discovering other good players.
Hosian's like Pixie plus Steward equal grandmother. What are we doing? Why don't
I
we just
feel like
fucking...
the claim space in this Grim is you need to pick somebody and they're on your team, and then you just it's groups of 2 just all fighting each other around the Grim, which might be interesting. I don't know.
Hosian's not wrong. I think the leech thing Legion helps a lot for this. It carries a lot of like, why is there so much confirmation happening? It's just a bunch of Legion players confirming each other. I think that
That's true.
kind of works for that purpose. Like Virgin is the only hard confirmed one, right? Is there any
Yeah,
other
I can't say I've
townsfolk?
played in a game that has this much like partnering up roles. It'd be interesting to see how broken it is.
There's only 2 reasons for multi-kill on here, right? It's Grandmother and Legion. That's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, and how often do you help a Legion sell a Grandmother world? Maybe
Whenever
once in
they
a while,
ask.
but whenever they ask.
I will help every evil team.
I'm this person's grandmother, and this person is this person's grandmother. Can we get 4 kills, please?
I gotta teach Alexis a lesson for not grandmother killing me when Crow died that one time. I'm like, come on the fucking. I think it was a Yaga game, and I was like, what are you doing?
The partnering thing could have worked well if you threw in a summoner, because it's like, oh, this is your partner. Oh wait, it's a summoner game. It might not be your partner anymore.
I like that.
That could have made it a bit more interesting.
Hosian, I don't think there might be one summoner script that we're gonna see. I forget, but I like that you're bringing that up because Summoner Ogre, very interesting, right? Probably more interesting with the old version of the Ogre that we talked about.
Yeah, where they always stay.
The alignment changing, because that is one where it's just like Snake Charmer, where it doesn't break the game because you're getting back to your normal evil player count, and then it's just +1.
Yeah, on this script, Summoner just makes a Leech most of the time, probably. Or just says Legion and lets all hell break loose. But
You think so?
I mean, if you're a Summoner in this game and you make Legion, everyone has their bluffs already. They've already used their stuff. They know all their mechanical info. Like, it's just a game that you're just guessing at that point.
Yeah, that's kind of fair, I guess.
It's true.
Either way, more of the Summoner Ogre interaction, but anything else on the townsfolk? I mean, we don't have the Lunatic that I was expecting to see a lot more of on these scripts.
Let's hear about this Alchemist.
Yeah. So what is the Alchemist receiving in this bag? In a given game, right? It's a fucking leech game. What is the Alchemist saying?
Evil Twin.
They're saying Evil Twin? I guess Evil Twin with the leech on the other end would be pretty funny. How do you even solve that one? Because you can't kill the leech, so the Evil Twin can never...
Okay, when
Wait, what?
the
Wait,
chase happens,
Sammiches,
you'll
you just
be
broke
spotted.
my head.
What?
Evil Twin Alchemist that sees
Yeah.
leech.
Yeah.
You can only kill them by killing the host, and then it wins
Yeah.
the game for
And it
both
wins the game.
versions. Is that bluffable? I don't even know. That's funny.
Yeah, the spy's on here for the Alchemist interaction that'll come later where they see a Grim with only one true person or one true role on it besides their own. Yeah.
I mean,
What
Alt
you do in
DA.
that feels bad in my. I mean, so what? You can mechanically prove yourself, right? You're just like, hey, I'm the DA. I picked X person today.
Sure.
Let's nominate them, right? But then, like, what are you doing for town?
Nothing.
Like, you're not really
You just-
helping.
Pick yourself and then nominate the virgin.
Yes, please, more.
I
love this, Hosian.
That's like a hard confirm. Then you
That's
just get
strong.
killed by the
We're
DA.
doing an
so strong.
Alt DA strategy video next. Let's go.
Oh my god, I didn't even see that, Hosian. That's just broken.
Alt DA in a Legion game. What are we doing? Like, you're picking yourself and then a random player, and then yourself and then a random player every night.
I mean, what's the best Alchemist choice that doesn't break a game, because like a poisoner is the best choice. It breaks the game.
Oh, Witch usually, right? Witch is probably
Right,
the
witch.
straightforward fun one. But there's a couple of others. Cerenovus.
No,
Alk Cerenovus is fine. It doesn't break games, and it actually can help town sometimes.
Yeah, Harpy's
Harpy's
on the
bad.
edge.
Harpy's rough.
Yeah, Harpy's not good. Honestly, I think Alk Spy's the
Alk
least
Spy's gonna be
offensive.
funny.
Yeah, it's gonna be the least offensive, but the worst
Spy
run.
is you need a really strong storyteller because
Yeah.
there's a lot of very good, cool things you can do with the new Jinx. But there's a lot of thought that goes into
You
it.
just show all Legion. You just show the entire Legion team as if they're something else.
Well, it's the
Yeah.
townsfolk, so.
I guess
you know.
Alk Marionette's dumb, right? Alk Evil
He
Twin,
does.
I want to have a script that works with it more. I have one that I've done it on, but it was even the... It was
Put a
really
leech on it.
Marionette. I think it would be funny. It's stupid because that player is just immortal with the leech until the leech... And then the leech hosted them too, which is... I don't think they can, right? The order of operations. Let me check. I could just hit the button. Evil Twin is after leech host. You could fake it though, right, Hosian? Because you could just wake them up separately. Wink,
Oh my
wink.
god.
I did that to you and Sarah, remember? Or was it? It might have been Avi. It was that one game with the Duchess, and Sarah was a marionette who saw the Alchemist token, and I gave him Alk Evil Twin and woke up them alone and said who their twin was, and it wasn't real.
Wow.
It was pretty rude. Anyway,
You could do Alchemist Evil Twin Legion.
that'd be
Because it's
cool.
like a townsfolk because it tells you it's a Legion game, but then you got to figure out which one of them's the good.
You don't even have to say Legion
Yeah,
though,
there's a
Hosian,
lot.
because you can register them as one of the other evil roles, like
Oh,
Alk
that's fair.
Harpy,
That's fair too. Yeah.
Spy. You can just Alk Evil Twin who sees the spy on the other end. It's like, wait, what? I like some of those. Those are fun. I think it's a weird one. I think Alchemist needs to go. I think it's on here specifically just for a Legion game to have some of the worlds exist. But the only one that you can't fake is Devil's Advocate, and I don't think that one deserves to be on the script anyway. But that's my opinion. Feels.
Yeah, I don't think Alk needs to be here.
You guys have thoughts on the... So, I guess Demon survivability real quick. Very high, right? You've got DA, you've got Legion, you've got Fangu, you've got Leech. So every demon is just having a good old time here. You're not super sad to get any of these. And Damsel is a ripcord, right, if you need it.
Good.
Evil Twin keeps you going, if I didn't say that. But the script itself feels kind of slow. I'm not sure if there's enough info here to solve.
No, you have to look at all the first day pairings and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and then just kind of eliminate. It's just more social than it is mechanical.
That's
so I
true.
think-
What are you making? Let's make a bag real quick with Legion, right? Yeah. So we'll do normal. So we have. I'll even be nice. We have a 12-player game. I'll put eight Legion. Who's going in the bag? Damsel, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Fuck. No.
Choir Boy
Butler.
King. How's that useful? You're just not putting a Choir
Butler.
Boy in, right?
Put
Okay,
Butler
Butler
in.
for sure. Yeah. Not the Ogre. Wouldn't we do an Ogre here?
Oh, Ogre. Wait, how many evil did you do? 8?
We're gonna do 8, so we're gonna have one room for the 9th one to basically Ogre can go either way. It's totally fine
Okay,
either
so
way. honestly.
Ogre's either way. So put
that
Ogre.
feels bad though.
Get rid of
9
Butler.
evil and 3 good.
We took out Butler, so we're doing Ogre and 3 good players. Ogre is whatever. We don't know if it's good or evil.
God, what do you put in here? I guess Alchemist Harpy.
We're gonna do that. Okay, Alk Harpy, and then if they solve that it's a Legion game, they know that that's a confirmed good player, right? So that's something.
Yeah.
And then you can maybe I have King on here. I've selected. That's
Seamstress.
fun.
King.
Seamstress is weird, but it works, right? It just sucks that
If you
they
do
probably
king,
don't learn
you're
it
putting
yet.
yourself in a corner of, are you just going to leave the king alive?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You just tell him Legion at some point?
You can do a bunch of the evil rolls without saying Legion, but yeah, you'll eventually just say
That's-
Legion, or you'll confirm the other player in play, right, and see if they
Magician?
believe it.
You still have a
Magician.
magician?
All right, here's the fucking setup. Boom.
Oh,
All right,
Magician might... Yeah, Magician might actually balance the...
It doesn't
Ogre
even need to
pick.
be in play though, right? Because Magician just being on script fucks up the evil team, the Legion. So we have
you
this.
know what? We need to punish our players sometimes and put a damn Magician in, because they never think it's in a Legion game.
So we have a blue Harpy over here. We have a Ogre in seat 1. We've got a Magician seated next to him. If they pick on this Grim, very likely to be confused as shit. They're
Evil.
picking a player who says, no, I'm good. I'm the Alk Harpy. The King is the only one they're going to get straight shit from, right?
Yep.
But this Grim could work. You just have to trust the social reads of your players, and if they get long enough, in there, the King maybe learns Magician or Alchemist. They're probably not going to learn Alchemist, because that's just is what it is. But yeah, this is a tough Grim. I think Legion might have a rough games for town on a lot of these. If you're not just shoving straight up Pixie Grandmother Stewart in there. I don't know. It looks fun. Like, I would play this.
This setup doesn't look bad.
It'd be a funny game. Because there's some confirmability. There's a guy who can maybe break open the Legion world with Magician. And then the Ogre, who is, you know, just an extra Legion player in most worlds, but could be a good player. Alright.
I think the interesting thing, too, with Ogre Legion is if Ogre has a better chance of going up to someone on the Grim and saying, or I shouldn't say Ogre, someone bluffing Ogre on the good team has a better chance of picking someone and saying, hey, I'm choosing you, I'm on your team, and then that person might just out the entire Legion team. Whoops. And I mean, so it's a really good bluff for
what Legion believes that, what Legion believes that you put an Ogre in this group?
That's great. I actually love this. I'm telling you right now, this is what's going to end up happening. You're going to have fucking Ogre claim. You're going to have fucking Ogre claim. And they're all going to go up to the good players. And they're going to be like, hey, I picked you. We're on the same team.
I picked you, I'm the Ogre. Then the Ogre looks insane.
And that person's like, okay, I think I may have turned evil this game. This is basically the Grim.
We have not seen a Serenovus, have we?
No, not yet. Which is fun with Ogre. Come on.
It works with Legion too. It explains double claim.
Any thoughts on this one at all, or?
I like the theme. I don't think it's super broken. I think there is some playable setups in this. And I have no experience with this many, like, you know, partner confirmation roles in a game. I would be interested to see how that affects a setup.
Is there ever a setup where Damsel works? With Legion?
I mean, Huntsman. Oh, with Legion?
Well, you better not register them as fucking minions if you got.
You give Legion 3 bluffs and hope they don't take one of the 3.
Now, here is the actual answer. I think you can do it if you give Legion 0 bluffs.
0 bluffs, yeah.
You're allowed to do that mechanically. It's in the write-up. I think if you're gonna put a damsel in game, you give Legion 0 bluffs.
That's probably fine.
It's weird. I don't know that you should ever do it, but maybe
Probably
if you do 5 good players, just so there's enough, like, all right, which one of these fucks is lying? I don't know. I want to try it eventually, but we'll see. Okay, cool. Jose, any last things on this?
No, I think we've said everything to say.
My final thoughts on this, and I think this was the closing thoughts from Alexis too. She actually thinks this script would be pretty good with a Duchess because the information is a little low, and it goes back to the whole pairing thing. She thinks that might fix some of the issues we were talking about. All right.
Yeah, I mean, the Duchess would let the pairs go in there and see what the hell's going on.
All right, let's look at Blaine or Boner. Blake and Bones' script.
Blaine.
I ran this one.
Blonner.
B&B Inc. Bones and Blake.
I played in this one, I think.
Yeah. This was a fun script. All right, let me go down to the notes for it. All right, their write-up is pretty substantial. Jesus Christ. Whose death is it anyway? Is a script designed for larger groups of players who want to have a normal length game of Clocktower. Thank you. This script was originally designed around the ogre becoming a pseudo-Scarlet Woman for the evil team. Don't ask me what that means. But then became more about killing lots of people. We acknowledge that the combination of Godfather Assassin can increase the number of deaths in a single night. Therefore, we added a townsfolk that could prevent these kills, as well as make the minions second guess even using their abilities. For example, we included a poppy grower to prevent reckless strikes, and a tea lady and innkeeper to confirm assassin versus Godfather kill, and a professor to confirm recently killed non-minions. We acknowledge the I feel like this is a fucking legal write-up. We acknowledge the possible strangeness of a poisoner and Vortox, but seeing as this script has more ability rolls than information, the poisoner could be an essential part of death-related misinformation. We added the Oracle in order to have a roll that could find a Fangu jump or a Vigor-killed minion. This is B&B Inc.'s first script. If you would like to be a rough with us... What? If you'd like to be rough with us, please consider taking us out to a nice dinner first. Note, while making this script, the phrase, "this is crazy" and "this is bonkers" was uttered many a time. We know this is whack, but we are sadists and want to see people suffer, and that's got a emoji smiley face thing. That's exciting. Gets you kind of hyped to play it. We did run this one. This was the one where we had the Pixie Tea Lady, right? Wasn't it?
Yep.
Or was that a different one?
Yep.
So did I miss
There's
the...
no Pixie on
there's no
here.
Pixie on here.
Oh wait, you did have a Pixie Tea Lady.
There was a Pixie Tea Lady. I think they might have updated it. Let me double check real quick just to make sure I have the correct script. But I believe this was the one with the Pixie Tea Lady when we ran it.
And I was evil, and it sucked.
It was pretty funny. No, because that was the Evil Twin one. Oh, no.
Oh, that was the Ogre when I was Evil Twin, yeah. What was that script?
Fuck, I don't even remember now. Okay, maybe we definitely ran this one. I just don't remember what the game was like now. Cool.
Terranovus is great. Love that.
Yeah, I scrolled up to the top. I don't see it. Anyway, my initial thoughts on here was the script looks fun. There's a assassin and a godfather, right? There's no gossip. What is the purpose of these two except to be loud?
I mean, that was their goal, right? Is to have extra kills.
But the issue for this is it tells you what minions are in play.
Yeah, all the extra kills come from evil, which is interesting.
Maybe an Oho would help.
And the Godfather's even hard confirmable because all of the outsiders can just be like, I'm an outsider.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, is that in a Fangu game? But once they get executed, they can say that.
Yeah, that's true. And there's not a lot of reason otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think you need both also. I think it's just choose one or the other, I guess. I mean, they have the assassin because of the tea lady. They have the Godfather for outsider manipulation.
There's Innkeeper Exorcist, so there's always a possibility that, you know, the demon doesn't kill and the assassin and Godfather cover that.
Yeah, but the Godfather has a harder time doing that.
I do remember this now because Clue was the tea lady in that game, and she was neighboring some players, and she was poisoned by Blake Night 1. Anyway, it wasn't the same game that we're thinking of earlier. I think the issue that I ran into on here is it has an exorcist, and there's not really a reason for no deaths other than that in the Innkeeper. It's pretty strong to follow up on, and it's not like the evil team gets to wake up together and be like, fuck, dude, I got exorcised. Can you assassin, bro? No, you just don't have a kill that night. And you know what? I'm following that evidence, right? Why wouldn't I just...
You have to.
I'm an exorcist. I picked this player. Eventually, we'll kill the exorcist if they're lying, so it's not even a great bluff on this script because there's just not enough reasons for no death. Tea Lady, Innkeeper. Oh, yeah, Mooney was the demon, and she kept trying to hammer it in on Clue. I remember. Until the Tea Lady was protecting her. She was the village idiot. That's what it was.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't... So those are some of the issues that I see. The Tinker seems to be providing nothing except for, hey, I'm a Tinker that exploded. Godfather extra kill, I guess, if you're going to be cheeky, because you know you can basically trigger it and just say that they died. You don't say they died in the night, and then it counts as a day kill. Right, when you wake up.
If you're trying to help the Godfather out.
Yeah. Which is just confusing. It confuses everybody, including the Godfather as well.
Right?
It's fine. I don't know. The Leech... Tea Lady, those are the only two that survive execution here. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's fun too because if someone gets Tea Lady protected, you know, oh, it could be a leech. I think you also have the interesting thing of, oh, if we find a leech, do we have to kill the Tea Lady to possibly win this game?
Yeah,
and that's
you got to know that
really
early.
Yeah.
There's a time period there where if you get it too late, the game's just over.
Yeah, it looked like fucking Josh K was grim peeking the way he fucking called out that scenario the other day. I was like, Jesus Christ, bro. Dude. Calm down, get off the Twitch.
No, the issue there was I couldn't hide because there was no outside manip, so he knew I wasn't anything aside from an evil ogre.
For this, what is this one? The reasons for like extra kills, we've kind of went over that. We have, I guess, a good suite of demons and minions, honestly, just without looking at the townsfolk at all. But I do think that the amount of extra kills here is not really doing much for the script. So Godfather and Assassin is probably just good to remove entirely, honestly, and swap for something else. But if you do that, Tinker's probably also got to go, right? It's not really doing anything here.
I mean, Tinker can't even, yeah.
It's just interesting and weird.
Can be a townsfolk in a leech game.
Yeah, also Golem can end the game in a leech game. Also very fun.
Yeah. I think, with the Fangu, keeps things secret.
I would almost think about switching the Golem to Recluse. Just because you have a lot of good pairing in the townsfolk between, like, Investigator Preacher is really strong. Fortune Teller Exorcist is really strong. So just throwing that possible, oh, it could have been a Recluse sort of situation, I think helps a little bit.
Maybe, yeah, because Ogre right now, what is Ogre doing on this script, which is the whole point of the competition?
Yeah, they're just kind of here.
Yeah, Fangu, Ogre, the interaction is
The
whatever.
Ogre Tea Lady's interesting because the Ogre can mechanically figure out. Well, the Ogre one might not even know, right? Their neighbor could have been the evil one out of the two, so the Ogre could be just as confused.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
We got Ogre Cannibal again, which protects an Ogre for a little bit if town doesn't want to have issues there.
Yeah.
There's some stuff here. Poppy Grower, I think people's Poppy Grower Ogre is they want a lot of Ogre claims in a Poppy Grower game between evil, probably. That would be my guess. Just a bunch of people saying I'm the Ogre and I picked whatever. I like Sarah Novus with Ogre. It's fun.
Yeah, I do too.
Outing as Ogre can get you killed sometimes.
I think that Sarah Novus is just always fun. I know it's louder than some, like Poisoner is a classic minion, and Sarah Novus is loud because you have to tell a player to do a thing. But man, is it so much fun to have and be. And...
Yeah, Poisoner's good on here. It keeps people, all these strong rolls, from maybe outing their stuff immediately too.
Yeah. Besides like our super critical thoughts on what we mentioned with the Gossip and the Exorcist, and like the Exorcist obviously being very powerful. What are you guys feeling about this script? I think it looks fun. I remember having fun playing it.
I think it's fine. I think the Tea Lady has shown to be weird in this script, but other than that, I just think the no deaths, like either just being Tea Lady or Leech. I mean, you know, its home script has the DA for a reason, I think, as opposed to a Leech and it has Sailor and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, the game could end very quickly if you have like an Exorcist and somebody next to a Tea Lady that just has the evil team.
Hosian's point about the Leech potentially being in play and being hosted by a Tea Lady or hosting a Tea Lady neighbor is quite hilarious, because that does require them to kill into that eventually, which I've never really considered, but until that game the other day, which is pretty fucking wild.
We almost had it, but now figured it out.
Because also, I could normally as a demon, I'd have to kill into that. But with this script, I could not, and just make town paranoid.
It's crazy.
Oh, the Leech host is over there, right? Yeah. So then I'll make town do my dirty work. Like, go ahead, kill, go into it. So I think that's interesting.
Do you think the script is balanced? I feel like this is kind of good-sided in a lot of ways.
But I was gonna say it's a little lopsided for good with how strong all the rolls are, and the demons are stuck.
Only alt-win condition is Vortox, right?
Yeah, Vortox, which you're never gonna. It hardly ever happens.
Survivability is probably a medium here, right? You've got a Fangu. So I guess this is an indirect thing with the Fangu. Fangu just being on script does make people paranoid for outsiders, so that can keep the Fangu or whatever demon might be in play alive while they kill all the outsider claims that are coming out. Sarah Novus can create that, so that's an indirect kind of strength to the survivability. But there's no way for the demon to move on here except for the Fangu. But
yeah, they're a little stuck, and they're stuck with demon finders like Fortune Teller and Village Idiots. Well, not Fortune Teller's demon finder. Village Idiot's an evil finder.
Both very powerful, and we have a Vortox on here, which
that's kind of why I was saying a Recluse might be needed for the script
for some misinfo.
It's a good bluff too, right?
Not the Puzzle Master, but yeah.
I do like Puzzle Master on here because they're likely to not come out for a while because of the Fangu. So that whoever is drunk until they get jumped into, and then that goes away, which is also fun.
That's so stupid.
Remember our stupid game that happened? Where the Golem was puzzle drunk?
Yeah.
Oh, that could have ended so dumb. We have outsider manipulation a la the Fangu and Godfather classic. And I don't know, it seems mostly the mechanical balance is probably weighted to good, but like the misinformation balance is evil sided a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't. The replayability seems at least mid to high. Like there's not a lot of bad setups.
You got to balance your bag, basically, is what we're getting at.
Yeah.
There are some changes I would make, but nothing's broken on here.
They got rid of the professor, which was just broken.
They had a professor Tea Lady with no leech.
Yeah.
And I had to tell Bones, I was like, that's 5 confirmable goods. There's no other way that those were. It was no leech, Tea Lady, professor. I was like, you can confirm up to 5 people.
Jesus
that's
Christ.
So strong.
I am coming around to this leech Tea Lady thing. It used to just think, yeah, of course, it could be the leech that survived. No, the leech host is awesome. I love that. Because now you can add that to the Savant info to make town like if you're a storyteller balancing it, start wasting town's time chasing into that themselves. That's great. I love that. You're winning me over on that. Exorcist is probably noting all of this. I think Tinker should go. I think Exorcist should be swapped for something else potentially.
Yeah,
but I'm
Exorcist
not
is
over
really
it.
strong.
Without a Pucko, right? A Pucko would save this script from that, probably. Maybe remove Vigor Mortis and add Pucko, but whatever. I don't know. I'm indifferent. Vig with
Vigor
Assassin's
Victor Vortox.
Oh no, I got booted.
Oh.
I'm back.
Me too. It just booted us.
Oh, did we get reset real quick? All right.
An SMG thing, yeah. Big
All right, we're back.
Vortox and Goo and Oracle is just a nice combination. And I like that the Ogre can be evil and can also be like one of those kills for the Oracle. And then you make you think that, oh, did a Fangu just jump? Especially when the Oracle gets a 1 on someone who's saying, oh, I was the Ogre. Then you're like, oh no, you were the Fangu claiming outsider now to try to balance the number, right? So that gets really interesting too.
Because then you say who you picked and it's a good player and you just get them framed.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, there's a librarian on here, which is a little sus with
I mean, do you ever show the
Fangu.
librarian the ogre?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's also bad, right? Do you God, being a librarian.
It's not the
Fangu
worst.
game-
It's just like you're pointing at a
Yeah.
potential demon a lot of times. Because it's not. There's catfishing as a librarian, I believe. And I don't remember 100%, but I'm pretty sure it does. And it's probably fine.
But the Oracle's another reason why the Ogre definitely shouldn't say who they picked, because the Oracle sees that you're evil when you die. You just told everyone who else is evil.
Oh no, yeah.
So,
Ogre
keep
has
that quiet.
multiple reasons not to say who they picked. You don't know if an investigator's in play. You don't know what an oracle saw. Yeah, just keep your mouth shut.
All right. Well, ultimately, it sounds like we are okay with this script.
Yes.
All right, let's bring up the next one. All right. We're on to Juicy's script, which we've played multiple times. And I've had high games, I've had low games. It's been interesting. The main reason, not so much the script itself, but the fucking Zombool. And this is our first script with Summoner, by the way, that we're running into. So,
Okay.
let's read the write-up real fast on this one. So this is our first Zombool and Summoner script. So the script is built in the spirit of a lower kill count BMR type script, my favorite kind of game. Multiple explanations for no death exist, such as Exorcist, Minstrel, T-Lady from the good team, as well as Zombool, Summoner, Oho from the evil team. Oho, I find, is going to be very flexible with the ability to bluff a Gossip or Moonchild like that, kill by intentionally sinking. The Ogre here has a fun interaction with the Pit Hag of being a pseudo-Mazephiles. As the Hag, you can, and this happened to me, but I was not told about it. As the Hag, you can out yourself and try to recruit a player to your side, which can be especially helpful in a Poppy Grower game. High Priestess is probably my favorite use of the Townsfolk slot on here. Now, by the way, Pit Hag got removed after that.
Yeah.
So I should probably ignore some of that. High Priestess is probably my favorite of the Townsfolk slot on here. It can be used to untangle multiple overlapping worlds, views simply by pointing at them towards the right path, yada yada. I put the general on the script on the idea that is a team is winning is more based on which world theories are prevailing in town. If most of the town are agreeing that's a summer game, but really it's a starting Zombool, then you could say evil is winning. Similarly, the fisherman can be used to say advice like gather up the players who believe it's an imp game, either because they have the correct worldview or because it's easy disproved world if they all shared info. Last part I want to touch on is the script has a lot of jinxes in play for the summoner. So it talks about this is back when the Pucka and the Zombool jinx first got changed, which did a lot for script building type things. And then these jinxes enable choices. The Pit Hag and Hatter jinxes enable arbitrary killing when a second living demon is added. I've got thoughts on that. Courtier and Poppy Grower jinxes prevent the summoner from choosing their demon player. They don't have to kill the summoner's ability completely, but can still enable counterplay. All right, that was a lot. So the Hatter got removed, the Pit Hag got removed, and a lot of the last little comments there kind of went away, which is good. The reason for that, since this did change from the other version of it, it's just adding an evil player that dies and becomes evil.
Yep.
That's all it is. It's a slow, weird mez. The way it would work is if you have a game where the Pit Hag adds a summoner in before night 3, and then night 3 they add a player, arbitrary kills happen, but they still add an evil player. So it is a mez, but it's a mez that kills that player. Or it creates a new demon, and the old demon dies, which is equally strong. And actually, probably stronger, right?
Yep.
But let's go over this one. So you do basically have a BMR suite of minions. You lost the assassin, and you gain the summoner. Mastermind on here, Devil's Advocate. So the Devil's Advocate is on this script. It's been on like 3 or 4 of the scripts now. Does it work on this script? I've had thoughts on this one. I think DA is such a tricky one to balance.
So DA can only bluff T Lady, right?
Fool is on
if
here.
If they're trying, Fool and T Lady.
So it's just more or less an outed demon, right?
I think it's to balance to help the Zomboul out, because the Zomboul
100%.
needs reasons for there to be no execution death so that they could get kills, because otherwise you're just sitting there.
And in BMR you have the pacifist, which really helps the world building there.
I just think everybody hates the pacifist. That's why it's not on here.
I don't know why. I wish people wouldn't hate the pacifist. But either way, it is something different. I guess that is the goal on this, right? If it's a Zomboul game, your Devil's Advocate better be hitting everywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Not get killed day one hard claiming next to the T Lady that they're the T Lady.
That's pretty funny.
Or Courtier drunk on that same game and just useless.
That was pretty good by Crow. So the 2 other things on here to note. So the summoner can change. There's no demon movement on here at all besides the summoner.
Imp.
Oh, sorry, I lied. The imp is on this script, which can definitely move around a lot. But the summoner itself can make a dead player a Zomboul, which is interesting. It's not something that existed before. Is that optimal? I don't know. We had a rough time when we played this script with the Zomboul.
And I'll tell you why it's not optimal, because it lets Town needs to figure out, A, is it a summoner game first? Then B, did they summon a Zomboul?
Yeah.
After that, you don't want to let Town have a one shot at the demon. You want to make them double tap a living player to win the game.
Yep.
Because if you just pick a dead player, Town could accidentally double tap there's not that many dead players by that point. If you're in a summoner game, there's not that many dead players. So why would you give them like a 1 out of 2 chance of hitting it versus all the living players? You never want to do that.
Zomboul's pretty loud on here too, right?
Yes, Zomboul, after the summoner day, if there's no deaths, like Minstrel exists, right? But that's it. Like,
name them off, actually. What stops it? There you go.
Courtier and Minstrel, right? Courtier, Minstrel.
Fool, T-Lady. So
there's also Gossip or Tinker that
But
can
by
help
day
cover.
3, right, you've kind of got a lay of the land. You know what's in play for the most part if you're playing and paying attention. So you know why there would be no deaths at that point. So past the summoning days, like the game we played, it was obviously a Zomboul game. And by day 4, there was no question that it wasn't a Zomboul game, right? And so from then on, you're just looking like for who it would be. And Zomboul, you would always pick a living player. That Jinx exists, so you can't just immediately lose the game.
Yeah.
But you would always
I think
pick
that Jinx exists specifically so we can make Mooney the demon when they get executed.
Also true. Okay, this all goes out the window if Mooney's already dead. If Mooney's already dead, then you have to summon Mooney. That's just the law.
We don't even
That's
need a
just
video
understood.
for that.
We're not even, some people watching this might not know that, but
yeah, Mooney has.
Minus a dead Mooney, who will then just be double tapped the next day. You will just summon.
You better fight for your life, Mooney, because I'm going down with the ship.
And this includes if you're the storyteller in a popular game and they say Zomboul, you want to make it a living player that's like somewhat trusted. You don't want to just pick a dead player thinking, oh, you know, they're safe because they're dead and like no one will look at the dead people. It's in Town's interest to eliminate the dead people immediately and let the Zomboul kill than it is to do anything else.
This goes back to BMR, right? A lot of what you do with the Zomboul is not so much, oh shit, I've got to hide. It's, oh shit, I need Town to waste as many votes as possible chasing after me. Because I have to make them do this at potentially 3 times with the DA on here, and a Mastermind 4 times, to try to kill 1 player, right? That's hard. You get DA protected the first time, they waste a dead vote or 2. You get fucking killed. Then they have to waste more votes to do it again because Evil's going to keep trying to tie the votes to fuck them up. And then they need to Mastermind worry about it potentially if you're not. That's the power of the Zomboul, right? On BMR, is that shit. That is just strong.
The Mastermind's not in a terrible spot here. because Summoner Mastermind's pretty funny, actually. They don't work together, but you could kill the demon day one, and everyone's just living in a Summoner world.
I like that, Sammiches. I haven't thought about that. Mastermind Summoner work really well for the initial, like, 2 days or whatever of the game.
Yeah.
It's a speed game in that world, but that's pretty
it's a
fun.
speed. Yeah, Evil could try to go for a speed win if they know their team.
There's zero interaction between the Summoner with the Mastermind, though, which is funky.
Nope. Yeah, the Summoner is not the demon, does not register as a demon, so the game will just end. So if you're a Mastermind with a Summoner, you kind of feel bad for a couple days because you got nothing.
Like, please, stay alive. Yeah, I like that. I think so we played this, right? And the first game was super funny. We even figured out that the Plague Doctor died and added a Mastermind, which I do like that interaction. I think that interaction makes the Mastermind a lot more interesting. You do run into a weird thing when you get to the Courtier. Courtier does not drunk a storyteller. They drunk a player, a character, right? So if the character ability is given to the storyteller, Courtier has no interaction with that. The minstrel has no interaction with that. So you could be in a world where the Zombull, it's a minstrel day. Zombull gets executed, and it still procs a Mastermind.
Yeah.
Which is weird. But yeah,
Yep.
It's something. I like it, though. It's just a higher advanced thing. Our issue that we ran into is that it might have been the bag setup that day, or it might have just been how good was playing, probably, because we had a lot of evil candidates. We had a Poppy Grower that was not outing when it was very clearly a Zombull game, and that made things tricky, because I just couldn't even form an evil team.
I don't even think we had an Ogre in that game, but we had a claim of Ogre later from an evil player, which was interesting to do.
Yeah. And what ends up happening is that, well, I guess we could talk about the townsfolk. We have a little bit of overlap here with some of the roles. You have the normal BMR overlap, but we have a Banshee on here. I think the Banshee's mechanically on here just to help push a win con for good and a confirmed player.
Banshee's in a weird spot with Summoner. You do not want to summon the dead Banshee.
Yeah, they are hard confirmed not Banshee. I guess they can fake it for like a day. But they're going to want to vote twice eventually, and everybody's going to be like, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Well,
But wait,
the summoner
doesn't
wouldn't-
matter. I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Banshee
doesn't
wouldn't
matter.
be confirmed
Yeah,
in the
correct.
summoner game.
Because the Banshee can.
'Cause there's no
have
demon to
or a
kill.
demon. Yeah. So that doesn't matter.
Oh, it'll never happen.
Where I see the issue
Got it.
with the Banshee is the Oho and the Pucka.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind
Pucka
Oho.
just defeats Banshee, and Oho.
Well, a Banshee would
gets
know
it.
it's a Pucka game in that scenario, so that's the trade-off. But
I guess that'd be a
Well,
question
not
for
with
you as well.
Godfather.
Oh, that's fair. So, Hosian, what about Pucka Farmer? Because I see that on some scripts, and as long as it's not the only demon, I'm okay with it.
There's a few characters that Pucka feels bad to interact with, but
that feels
fair.
bad for the Banshee, not for the Pucka.
yes. I think Banshee's worse than the farmer, though. I don't know.
I agree with that. From a
The Banshee's whole
mechanical-
thing is, hey, try to kill me. I guess the farmer is too, but
I think the Banshee's probably more fun to be when you die and you get to do
Well, hell
the
yeah.
fucking
course.
and then you
Yeah.
get to vote twice and nom while you're dead. That's
Banshee's
fun.
rules.
And the farmer, if there's other reasons for you not to pass, you start getting paranoid. You're like, I don't know, is this motherfucker actually a farmer? Or is he just, did I get drunk or something and he's fucking lying to me? But the Banshee is loud and in charge, right? And they keep a final 3 evil game going because the Banshee is able to nom and all that.
I don't hate the Banshee on here. I think it not proccing when it dies at night, it's either Pucka or Godfather, so they can start doing that. You can bluff it if you're dead as evil, which there's not a lot of reasons for evil dead besides Zombull on here or an M-Star pass.
I think the
You can
Outsiders
start-
makes sense on here, right?
Tinker, Ogre, Plague Doctor, Moonchild. Moonchild can be bluffed by Oho, right? But that's it.
All right.
Oho and
here's your
Godfather.
question for the day. Who does the High Priestess see night one?
Yeah, I had that question when I saw this before.
Summoner, right? They just go to the Summoner?
I don't know, right? They go to the tea lady who's sitting next to 2 good people, and you're just like a weird steward that's super strong. Like,
Do you think it's balanced? Like, because
no.
is a
because
storyteller.
No.
Just
No,
remove
like-
the High Priestess in my head. You already have a
High
general.
Priestess goes to the general who got whatever, because they're the
I
only
was gonna
person who
say-
gets it both.
Yeah.
when I first looked at it, that was one of the things. It's like I was like, I think this is the first script I don't see you starting on though.
Yeah, there's no starting info. So the High Priestess, who is a starting info
General.
role, kind of has nothing to go to.
General Amnesiac, a courtier who used it.
You know what I would send the High Priestess? I would send them to a minion. See if they can go to the minion fast enough before they get their bluffs.
Yeah.
Some people
And get
do
them to trip
subscribe
out.
to
I don't
that,
mind that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. On this script, you have to. Because, Jesus. Also, I do feel like, so meta roles, I had this conversation with Sammiches the other day. There's certain roles that are meta roles. There's 4 of them, I think. Chambermaid, you could just not have that in there. But I'll go with the other 3. Mathematician, General, and High Priestess. They don't work without the knowledge of the town for you to figure it out. Right? They give you like a supplemental thing for everybody else's info. So the High Priestess goes and sees players. You don't fucking have any idea why, but over time you get a pattern, and you also can hear from that player, and hopefully that makes sense why you saw him. But maybe you're not. Maybe you've been sent to every outsider, and it doesn't make sense until you've seen every outsider, and you're like, oh fuck, it's a Fangu game because I've now gone to 4.
Yeah.
And one of them is lying because it can't be 4. Like, that is a meta role. I don't think you need more than 1 on a script most times. I think Juicy very specifically said he wanted this to be this way, so that's totally reasonable. It just didn't seem to work in the game that we had. Although I did get executed.
I love the general. On the flip side, I love the general on this script. Because so many things can happen, and the general getting a huge shift in what they saw from the day before tells them a lot about the executions that happened that day, stuff that happened. I think general's great on here. I just don't think the High Priestess needs to be on here because them confirming. I don't think you need a player that can confirm somebody else's stuff. I just don't think it's important on this script.
Well, just tell me about town balance, right? I think if you're looking at High Priestess on here, I think it should be removed for more info, at least a little.
For info, not somebody who's going to recurringly go confirm players or do some weird stuff like. Yeah, like even if you bluff this, even if let's say you're a sober High Priestess and you first day go to the Fool, they're gonna be like, "Well, I don't have anything for you. Like, why are you coming here?" It's like, I don't know.
I don't know. I was told
the gambler didn't wake up, so I don't know why I had to go somewhere.
I know that's actually gonna make this one hard to storytell too, in a way that makes the High Priestess have a fun game because they're just gonna be like. I was just doing whatever you said, and I didn't really understand.
They're going to go to a person who has no info, and it's more just like, well, I'm a good player. Okay, cool. I'm like a steward that's going all over the place.
Stamp. Job is done.
Yeah, right?
Okay, with that, I mean, I guess we can hit our marks here. So Demon survivability is very high on this script, right? We have Zombul, Impkin Star Pass, we have Mastermind, DA.
They're Evil's getting to final 3 most of the time.
Yeah, I feel like that is the case. And then, Outsider mod, you got your Godfather. That's great. Everybody loves Godfather. The reasons for death for Evil at night, there's abundant ones, right? We've got Zombul, Imp, and Mastermind. All reasons that Evil would, well, I guess Mastermind's not die at night, so that's a bad example. But you get it. Zombul and Imp are reasons that Evil would die at night. And that's fun. But yeah, my thoughts are, I think that this script is fun. I enjoyed it, at least, I think it wasn't so much the game itself. I think that it was just a tough game the way I played it and the way that the other
Zombul is a game of attrition.
It was a Zombul game. But I enjoyed both games quite a bit. I think this script is very close to a really, 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 really good script, and I think it just has to do with tweaking townsfolk. I think everything else is fine.
Yeah,
if the Zombul is what's staying on here, the townsfolk got to get shifted slightly.
Yeah, Zombul Poppy didn't make sense either.
What would you swap?
I would put Magician in, honestly. Again, I think the Magician
Poppy?
fills...
You'd remove Poppy for Magician.
Get Poppy out, put Magician in. I think Magician fills the role that Poppy has on this script. I think the Ogre works better with the Magician as well, just on the off chance they pick him.
I like that.
Because the Magician's already paranoid, so they're not going to, The Magician knows that Evil will heard their name, so the chance that a random player just picked them as the Ogre has you on edge, versus a Poppy Girl game, which is just no one knows what's going on.
I'm on board, Sammiches, because you have a Mastermind. What if they're in play and they don't know which one's their demon? They don't give a fuck. They're actually going to push to get them executed, and it's great.
You want them both dead.
I guess if I had to change, it would be... Oh, go ahead, Jose.
I was going to say, I'll throw it with the Poppy Goer. What kind of sucks is if you have a summoner game, and they happen to choose their other minion because it's a Poppy Goer game.
They don't choose.
You also have a Banshee.
So there is a one jinx on the Poppy Girl. We're getting into the complexities of Blood on the Clocktower with all these fucking rolls now, but there is a jinx for that Sammiches is going to tell you about.
Sure. In a Papa Grower game, Hosian, when the summoner, if the Papa Grower is alive, when the summoner makes their choice, they only choose the demon type. They don't choose who it is, which sucks because now you don't know who your demon is. Like, you know, you made a demon. I mean, it's a Poppy game. You know your demon exists, but you don't know who they are.
Magician does solve that issue.
Magician helps that issue immensely as well. Summoner Magician doesn't work that great. Well, Summoner Magician, so the tweak to Summoner Magician that people have said is show them as a minion, right? Show the minions all minions. So like, because the minions know it's a magician game or know it's a summoner game in a summoner game. So why not just have them all be paranoid of each other, which I think is a good bootlegger rule that gets around.
I consider Minstrel, Poppy Grower, and Magician all to be like crowd control, and I think having multiple on here is a little zany.
That's the thing, right? This is heavily weighted towards good. With you've got so much stuff that fucks evil
mechanically,
hard.
Right? Mechanically.
Yeah, mechanically.
Not solvability. That's why the demon survivability is really high.
Yeah. It just it screws. Yeah, it screws up evil pretty rough.
But I'll tell you, it doesn't feel like it when you're playing. It does not feel like it. Feels like you're losing.
We're all pros, Joe. We're all professionals.
We're experts.
I would definitely say this script is this is for not the new players. This is definitely for experienced players and experiences.
Correct, right? Because there's a lot of social reads and stuff like that. Sometimes ignoring your mechanical info.
A lot of time, right? It feels
Based on what you're seeing in town. Which is funny because there's like barely any poisoning in this. So
the script might just use a Village Idiot. Honestly, I think remove High Priestess. Village Idiot fills a lot of voids in this kind of script where it's not perfect info because they could be the drunk, it could be just lying players. But if you remove High Priestess and put a Village Idiot, I think that would solve the lack of info on this script. And since you don't have a goon to mess with like picking players, this at least is something that
because a sober Village Idiot, a sober High Priestess on here is just like a good player confirmer, or you go wild the opposite direction like Hosian said and you send him to an evil player right away, which might just wreck evil immediately. So it stands out on this script.
Cool. Overall, I did like the script. I think that there's a few changes that would make it even better, but I mean it's Zombo.
I will say one thing
games.
I don't think we mentioned about the High Priestess is sending them to the Ogre.
That's true. That would be funky.
I claimed that I was. It confirms 3 players in my mind. It shows the High Priestess, the Ogre. So the High Priest, and then the Ogre says, "Oh, well, I picked." Well, if the Ogre's telling the truth, right? It confirms 3 people. If you think you're seeing a good player, or you just saw an evil Ogre.
I guess I had noted
out whoever the evil that they picked, right? And if one of them is evil, then you really have good info.
Yeah, maybe we could talk about Ogre real fast on here. I know you guys started, but like, who's the Ogre? What are the Ogre interactions on here besides the Poppy Grower that really pop out at you?
Much.
I don't think so either.
Ogre picking someone.
I think I was the Ogre
summoned?
on this script or something, and I said that I swapped with somebody, and I said that I was the High Priestess that saw the Ogre.
Hosian mentioned the summoned player interaction. That's true. I almost feel like a goon would be better on this script, but that's why BMR works, right? Because goon is on that
BMR
script
at that point. Yeah, I think the
it is another reason for no deaths too, right? Which is the point of what Juicy's got on here.
Yeah, the Ogre's kind of just here. You pick your player and you play on their team.
Okay.
Not much, nothing fancy.
But I think that's the thing with the Ogre is it just sometimes is just there. I don't think it's.
But in a script that celebrates the Ogre, you should spice it up. Sometimes it's more interesting. Like one interesting thing on here is the summoner, like you said, right? The Ogre is an outsider. I don't think they always have to stay the same alignment. Them staying the same alignment is more of a townsfolk style thing, just on either good or evil. Them being an outsider means they have no fucking idea what team they're on. So if their choice gets summoned into a demon, they're still playing on their team. You're like a lunatic that never realized you were good, right? That's fine. But that's the only interesting interaction on this one specifically. Well, the other thing is a Moonchild could pick an Ogre, and then you know for a fact if who they picked was good or bad. I think the most outsidery thing a plain vanilla Ogre can do is just not say who they picked, because you're not helping down when you do that.
Yeah.
You're just keeping it a secret.
Okay. Oh, that's funny. Let me do this real fast. All right. Let's move on to the next script. We've only got a couple left. We got That was JuicyBerry's Along for the Ride. Now we're going to look at Swamp Ass. Great
Good
name by Bosh. Swamp
name.
Ass. Love some ass. Don't love the swampy parts. So his highlight of the script is the ogre's pick won't know their starting alignment, so he's talking about Marionette Lunatic on here, or could have an alignment change, Summoner Fangu Jump, over the course of the game, in which the town's info they have to figure out the team they're on or not with their ride or die pick. So this has a familiar feel to it. It's got some minions on here and an alchemist that doesn't seem to work with the minions on here. Maybe. But this was the one that we gave feedback on about the Zombull that feels kind of shoehorned on here.
Yeah, before the DA, the Zombull had no way to get kills because unless town double tapped. It was only if town double tapped.
Yeah, this one's got Fool, Sailor, DA are the reasons for no deaths now. I guess Vizier, if the investigator sees him, is weird, but it's true.
Yeah, added a lot of stuff for the Zombull to have, like... But, yeah, the minions on this...
I'm only picking Vizier or DA, though. Like, I'm never giving Summoner. I know that we do it cheeky once in a while, but it's not really a fun thing for the evil team to have a Summoner.
The Jinx Spy is the most, like...
Jinx Spy could be fun. Again, I guess... Alright, we'll assume it exists in some form.
It's built with that intention, so I'm going to look at it like that, and it's the most inoffensive to put on there, honestly.
It is fun. I really want to run it eventually, but
show everybody as a summoner.
That would be cheeky.
So they get to know. They get to know.
They'll know it's a summoner game, like 100%.
Or they're drunk.
Yeah, the outsiders on here are actually a really fun mix for the ogres.
I love with the spy Jinx is going to be great with the drunk on here because you can show a drunk alchemist as the Grim, which would be very funny. Which is what I'm gonna do a lot of the time.
Hell yeah. I mean, you could make them think they're the drunk with some of the fucking shit you could do in this game. Alright. Yeah, the outsiders are fun. The minions and demons. So we do have a legion on here. We have a bunch of roles that do not work with legion. Vizier.
Yeah, almost all the minions don't work with legion. You need at least one of them to be in play, right? So,
so
a legion game.
DA's loud, right? Like Vizier is obviously loud, and they're gonna they have to claim Alchemist, or it's not a Legion game immediately. Cool. Spy, I guess, is hidden. Summoner is kind of hidden, but now the storyteller has to sink a kill night too.
Yeah.
There's another reason. Oh, I guess Gossip's on here. And then Marionette is fine. It's inoffensive.
So most Legion's going to be selling a spy Marionette game in a 12-player game because they can't fake the other ones that much.
Here's the issue that you're going to have, though. Zombull so loud on this script still, even with the DA thing.
100%.
Are you going to be the storyteller that sinks kills for fucking 10 days in a Legion game so that the Legion players can sell Zombull?
No.
Fuck no.
Absolutely not.
I don't think Legion and Zombull work together very well in a fun way, right? You're double tapping every Legion in that world? Are you kidding me? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. The only reason for no deaths at night is Zombull or Summoner, right? So there's not... Or
is that true? Yeah, Fool.
It's Fool and Sailor. Fool and Sailor.
That's kind of weak. Yeah, not a fan. I don't think Zombull works.
I don't like Zombull on here. I just don't... I don't think it needs to be on here. It's like... It could be any other demon that has a better way to do stuff.
This is true. We've said enough about Fangu, unless, Jose, you got more to add on it. Or otherwise, I don't really have much else to add on Fangu.
No, I have something to say about the Oracle on this script.
Do it. Like, I want to hear it.
There's drunk sailor poisoning, but if you get a 0 night 1, and then you get a 1, there's not really reasons for evil to kill themselves outside of a Fangu jump or a Zombull. Doesn't kind of really point to worlds fast for the Oracle.
Because all three demons die at night, though.
They do, but if you get a 0 on night 2, right? It's probably not a Legion.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Or it's Oracle bluffing.
You get a 1. That's fair. You get a 1 after that. You double tap the person.
You have the Oracle token in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm the Oracle, right, I get a 0 night 2, then I get a 1 night 3. I'm double tapping that person in case they're the Zombull. Or, I know the Fangu jumped, right? So
that is true, Hosian, because if the kill happens at all, right, then and there's nobody claiming Gossip, it's not a Zombull game. And if there's a death, an Oracle just solves Zambul immediately in that world. So you just always
You're
kill
almost
them.
always the drunk on this in this bag, I think.
There's just
almost
not
every
enough
setup.
poisoning, I think.
Storyteller
It
has to
could
pay
use
the
a vo-
sailor. To
There is
sit
no
on the Oracle.
poisoning except for the sailor and the drunk.
Sailor and the drunk, yeah.
Right.
So
But those are
the Oracle feels
the drunk is
really
stuck.
strong against these
That is
demons.
a person that is the drunk. The sailor is the only one that can move around. So, and the sailor's not just going to keep picking the Oracle.
I mean,
right?
if we socially manipulate the sailor at night to pick a specific
if you're Joe
player
and you just tell the people what to do
over
at
and
night, yeah,
over and over again.
that works. But yeah, like I'm making the Oracle. If that's in the bag and somebody's looking at it, they're probably the drunk, and I'm selling a Legion world in like a normal game for them. They're getting a 1 night 1, and then a 2, and then a 3, and the 4. Like they're just getting a Legion game. They're playing a Legion game in their mind.
I actually wrote out all of the misinfo that exists. Sailor, Mario, Recluse, Drunk. That's it. And then Legion can lie. That is pretty low for this.
Yeah, right. If you get a 1, like Hosian said, past a couple zeros, like you have to live in a world where you're sober and you either killed the Zambul or you killed the marionette sitting next to the demon.
Yeah.
Like, or the Fangu jump.
I didn't
like,
even think
like,
about that. The marionette can be very powerful.
Oracle should be swapped for Pacifist or something. And I still think Zambul got to go. But if you're trying to make it work, something like that would help.
That's the thing. If you want Zambul on here, you need more stuff going on that lets them get kills.
Juicy Script is a good example of what you should do, even if
Yes.
you know you have some feels bad games sometimes for some of the players. It was still a fun game, but that is a good example of how much either protection you need or level of surviving executions for a Zambul to work. And you probably should have an assassin, honestly. Even Juicy Script probably should have an assassin. It's just too hard to sync up with a Godfather. You can always say, oh shit, that might have been an assassin kill. But Godfather's like, oh shit, we didn't execute a fucking an outsider, I can't do anything. Okay, as far as the feel of the script, I mean, I feel like it's gonna be a Fangu Legion game, or we're gonna solve it very quickly, right? So...
Yeah, I'm setting up a Fangu or a Legion game in here, and Legion's gonna have a tough time.
Yeah. And I think Bosh's argument was that it could be Summoner for like the first day or whatever, but I'm not even going to waste my time. I think summoning a Zambul, I'm just going to put a Fangu into play and try to get that extra evil.
That's the other thing. Like, what are you summoning as a summoner?
I'm not sure, because I'm not summoning
Right?
Zambul, and Legion is rando, so...
And the outsider count is what it is, so...
There's a Poppy Grower on here, too.
That's the other thing.
Why?
It's just, there's a lot of disconnect.
This is a very, like, good weighted script.
Yeah,
Very good weighted.
You see that sometimes, people, that they overcook the good team to the detriment of the evil team. There's only 3 demons, so that narrows the worlds down immensely, especially the difference of these 3. So it's, yeah, a Pukka on here might do something. It might alleviate some issues. It also works with the summoner like people want it to.
Yeah.
That might
Did
be
we talk about Gambler gossip with the evil team? Because of the multiple deaths?
That's the thing, right? They can't even, like, they can bluff that if the storyteller wants to help a little bit, I guess.
It has to be
but,
Legion in that world, or it has to be that they're just exactly those roles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if your Vizier go out...
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
just-
That's the thing. If you hear a Vizier get announced, you know it's not a Legion game.
No, there's
immediately.
an alchemist. There's an alchemist.
Oh,
But again,
God.
if the investigator sees him and it doesn't go out, I don't know.
There's a Shigenja empath of Village Idiot too.
Yeah, this is gonna be a rough one. I think Good's gonna stomp most games on this script, but it's still gonna have some janky moments where you're like, how does this work?
Hold on, question. Can the investigator see...
Can they see Legion and then the Vizier call doesn't go out? Yes.
Okay.
I'm in your head.
That's the Legion setup you do here.
It's not even pointing at them, and they're just like, I'm just immortal. But then they're confirmed when somebody tries to execute them.
I know, right? It's just so stupid.
It is pretty stupid.
Oh my God. Or it's just the drunk investigator. You could also just show them garbage.
Yeah.
And that's... Oh no, they have to be the investigator, right?
Yeah.
Do they have to be the investigator for that call not to happen?
They have to be the investigator. They can't be the marionette. They can't be the drunk. They could be puzzle drunk, but they cannot be.
Oh, so they would. If they're paying attention, they would know it's a Legion game, and that the Alchemist Vizier is good. Interesting.
Probably, yeah.
Interesting setup.
Awkward.
All right, nobody watched this video.
We're wiping the minutes.
Delete this part.
Minutes are gone. I mean, yeah, we've played this script. It was fine. It wasn't overly one way or another. It felt like it was a little bit different. Maybe it was the old version, but Zombo was present. I think it was a Fangu or a Legion game. I don't remember, but
Probably a Fangu.
it's fine. Yeah, I think the script can use some revisions on it, but that's my opinion on what I'm looking at against. I think as far as the ogre interactions go, there's quite a bit. So you've got a good
Love the recluse,
skeleton.
love the lunatic, love the marionette. Like the
Classic.
theme of ogre doesn't know their team because the other player doesn't know their team. Very fun.
Yeah.
It really works with this outsider. That's what I'm looking for on these.
All right. Let's pull up, I believe, Giggles.
You know what we
script.
didn't talk about?
What's that?
The ogre picking the lunatic.
Yeah.
It's great.
Let me
It's
pull up this one
great.
because I think it exists on this
you're
one.
in the evil team.
We can dive into that on Giggles script here.
Love it.
This is one of the better scripts, right? No, this script is really, really good. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on it, from the evil side to the good side, whatever.
Yeah, so let's go.
Oh wait,
let's go
do we do
back
the
to
write-up
ogre.
first?
Oh yeah, does she have a write-up? She does, I
Yeah,
think.
social cues rule the town. Many roles have uncertain alignments, and others check those alignments or rely on social plays to gather information. For those not aware, McGiggles, pretty crazy player on our server, very fun person, and they love social reads on things instead. They play very social, chaotic, but they do that to get social
Yeah, I love social
information.
games.
So that's how this script was kind of made, even though there is quite a bit of good info on here. Bootlegger is in play for Snake Charmer, so specifically there's something called the Alejo rule. I don't run this, I never will, I don't think. I could be convinced that it's good, but I just don't see the need for it. But basically the Snake Charmer, they go before minion demon info on this Bootlegger rule, and that allows the Snake Charmer to not feel as bad the next day. My opinion, just don't pick anybody if you don't want that risk. I think that all this does is
Yeah, they
make
can always pick themselves.
this just makes the original demon have no game, no fun, nothing to do except for know the demon in play. It's not that exciting. Anyway, Bootlegger for that. And it's strongly suggested to double check the bag for balance. Strong evil setups like Leech or Evil Townsfolk could be balanced with Magician, Marionette, Godfather -1. There's no Spirit of Ivory, so be cautious of putting an Ogre, Bounty Hunter, Cannibal in at once. Revamped.
She's changed this,
So we're going to assume Spirit of Ivory. I think that got fixed.
Yeah,
And
this
there's
has
a
been
couple of
revamped.
changes.
This has been changed immensely from the start too.
Revamped social strings. Here's the revamped portion of the write-up.
It's important.
People are building worlds with 5 evils, which is really bad. So balance the bag. Didn't consider the fact that the demon bluffing Bounty Hunter could absolutely lead to those worlds. So Bounty Hunter was removed. Spirit of Ivory was added. Kazali was replaced with no Dashi. That was a great change. Yep. And sources of droid poisoning are lacking on the script, so the no Dashi kind of helped out with a lot of that, which I think it did. It did a lot of work. Okay, that was the write-up.
Yeah, going back to the Ogre Lunatic, it's great, Hosian. Especially on scripts like this with a Magician. You could show the Lunatic a Magician that's the Ogre, right? And they go to them and they say they pick them, so they're still paranoid about it for a while. It's a very good, very fun combination, especially if they ever get executed and die. Because then they come out. But for the most part, you have two outsiders playing very outsidery that aren't coming out. And these outsiders are also all quiet.
It gets weirder than that, though, right? So you have a lunatic who saw a magician, who learns of a marionette neighbor, and the ogre actually doesn't even pick the lunatic. They pick the marionette neighbor, who is now told that they're evil by the lunatic, who is now... They're all good players who all think they're evil.
Yeah, you can have so many players think they're evil for half this game because of outsiderness, which is what an outsider should do. I think it's good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's good stuff. And honestly, the suite of minions on here are great. There's no poisoner straight up, but you got the marionette for misinformation. And this will lead to like a weaker misinfo thing, but you know what? Get good.
First appearance of the Goblin. You've got an ogre that picks somebody and they claim Goblin on the stand. You don't know what to think at that
You're like,
point. Okay.
I thought you were the cannibal.
So I guess this is what we're doing now.
Goblin's such a good out for this, right? I think that really helps. It's a fun thing for the magician to do as well, trying to bait like the demon to come talk to him. Whatever. Lunatic's going to use that to stay alive longer. I've actually seen a lunatic claim Goblin, so they didn't execute, and they ended up killing the demon afterward, which is funny. Because like, oh, fuck, we're not going to kill this guy. He's probably the Goblin. And the demon got an next. And I was like, oh, God, game's over. But yeah, I mean, the minions and demons here work really well together. I just, even looking at them, I see so many fun setups for it.
Yeah, this is a very good evil team that is fun to play, and it's not solvable immediately, but you can get there if you play and if you're paying attention. So I think it's balanced.
Any issues jump out at you from the evil team at all? Like, we do have a leech here. There's no demon movement, which I always, I have thoughts on that. But the imp is the one. I guess I could just bring up the survivability that I wrote here earlier, and then that'll answer my question.
The outed leech early is what it is, but
here it is. So the three things that help, right? Four technically. You have a goblin claim, right? That keeps you alive.
Yep.
You have leech. That's probably what you guys are going to mention. Imp can star pass. And then you do have a lunatic claim if people believe it, right?
Correct.
You saw the demon token. You're outed as the demon. You're like, no, nobody's even like answering my shit. I am just a lunatic.
Yeah.
And that could work. It's probably the lowest level of it. But
yeah, with the Godfather in play, and there's a lot that help. I mean, you always want to be wary of a lunatic claim, especially a later lunatic claim with the magician stuff, making them scared to talk to people. Like, you kill them going into day 4, day 5, you got to worry about a Godfather being alive somewhere. I think that balances a lot out. I still love the Serenovus on here.
Yeah. Damsel, good, right? There's no demon movement.
Great.
You got the goblin that can out and go for it. There's not a vortex to like force executions where the damsel could be the easy out. I've seen that on scripts, and that can be a problem, right? Because the damsel's always gonna be like, I'm a spent roll to kill me, and now the whole purpose of having the damsel in there is gone.
Yep.
I love everything there. I think there's some good stuff going on with the townsfolk too. I'm sure something jumps out at you guys.
So Village Idiot's great when you have a damsel because
So
it opens up the claim space. Magician also opens up the claim space because Magician's gonna be weird. Like, Pixie and Serenovus help the Magician, the Raven Keeper, the damsel all kind of make wild claims.
Yeah.
Snake Charmer's great because, again, the Ogre can start good and not be on the same team as their pick, because if you pick the Snake Charmer, they're probably not going to tell you.
Yeah.
They're probably...
Even when they change, they're just going to come out later and be like, hey, I didn't trust you, but I trust you
Yeah.
now. We're on the same team, bro. Unless they
Yeah.
absolutely believe. And this might be one of the times where you use the Ogre changing thing, because I believe there's nothing else that changes Lyman on here, right?
No, the Spirit of Ivy doesn't need to be on here anymore because there's only the Ogre.
I would run this with the alignment changing Ogre option.
That works. That works fine. Like,
It's just Snake Charmer, right? Am I wrong, Hosian? Like, I think that's it.
That is it, I think.
Yeah. The Snake Charmer leech is because if the leech gets outed early, and if I can stay alive as Snake Charmer, I just wait till about final day, Snake Charm the leech, and we're going into it.
That's you being a good Snake Charmer at that point.
Fuck yeah,
man.
I want to do that.
Take it.
That's my favorite play.
Right?
Yeah, you know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing this script rules. What are you talking about?
All right.
I will say there's there's 3 ways for drunken poison besides poison Snake Charmer, because there's a drunk, and then there's leech poison and Odashi poison. 2 of them specifically can lead to the demon dying. I wish there was a little bit more drunkenness or poisoning, because that might be
that was one of my
easy
issues with
to
it.
find that.
So you do have Village
you think
Idiot
the
and
poisoner?
Cannibal, right, that also count? Unless I missed you saying one of those. You probably did.
Yeah.
Because Cannibal
Yeah,
eating an
but
evil
Taylor?
does
It's
trigger
kind of-
misinfo.
Yeah, but the cannibal, if you know you have other days of good info, then that's not exactly the same. I feel like
Yeah,
it's not. You're not poisoned the entire game or drunk the entire game, right?
I don't think you're wrong, right? Poisoner
I think you're
carries
right. Every
TB.
poison on here, is either stuck on one person, which is the drunk, or is a one-time, or the leech host. It's like a one-time spot, or you're the Nodashi neighbors, right? So it's like that is where the poison
If
is.
you
It's not
solve that,
leaving.
Yeah, if you solve that, you kill the demon, right?
I think
in a lot
that
of those
is
worlds.
true, but you've got a lot of misinfo. Like, you can balance that. You got the Snake Charmer, you've got the imp that can get out of the way if all the info's sober and try to just jump. The
But
marionette
this would
might
be
help.
not an imp game.
Oh, you're saying in like a Nodashi leech game?
Nodashi's stuck
Yeah,
or
in
the
a
leech is
Nodashi or
outed.
leech game specifically, I think.
So, Nodashi has the
found.
marionette and the lunatic and has a lot of the outsiders they can jump through to kind of push it out a little bit, right? I think that the one times where you get really screwed is like when you're a Nodashi sitting next to a Shugenja that points away from you, right? And then it's like eventually town kind of figures it out. I mean, if I'm concerned about, I'm not concerned about the poisoning on this, but if I was, I would probably put a sailor so that we could just do the sailor leech thing, because why not? But
adds a little more drunkenness to town. It seems fair. Do
Yeah.
you think that I mean, we're gonna hit it for sure, but the artist is just kind of strong and fucking.
the artist is very strong. I have not played with an artist on a non-Vortox script because of how strong it could be.
You would need so much extra Droizen / maybe a Fangu, so all the outsiders lying, a lot of demon movement, something like that. There's a reason it's on S&V.
It's interesting that this was a social setup, and then you have such a hard mechanical role like the artist that could almost always be sober, and it's like I guess the social part is, do you believe they're the artist? But
I wrote like a mini rant on how strong the fucking artist is on the script, but I'm not gonna read it. I think that if you swap that for
I don't think it
a
breaks the
savant,
game, though.
no, it probably doesn't. But if you swap it for a savant, maybe would help. I guess what it is, and maybe this is something that we can take in.
I do think
into
a savant
account.
is better.
Because you can parse the info. You can make the info weaker, so to speak, too, if
It
you
also
think that the game
goes
is
back to the
fucky.
social, right? It's like
Yeah.
you're metaing them. Are they the savant? Do they sound like the storyteller savant in statements? Like,
But the only demon finder on here is the snake charmer, which comes at a high risk, so maybe that's okay.
yeah, town is weaker mechanically overall. So like, I don't think an artist is going to solve the game as many times as you think. And like with the other stuff being a one-time use roll, and also not all in play at the same time, right? Like artist, fisherman, seamstress. Like if they're all three in play, okay, maybe. But you know, they're not also going to have noble shugenja picks. Like, so I think the balance in the bag just happens by how many townsfolk you have in general, and they're not all going to be together. So I don't think the artist would ever. Yeah, you just hit something. Let me see. I don't think the artist is ever just going to solve this game. So you have an artist sitting next to Nodashi, right? Right?
Well, this is an artist that's
magician,
the
that's
artist in net.
Oh, okay. So then you've got a Nodashi poison snake charmer and a Nodashi poison magician.
That's. Is this game strong? This
Let's
is
see,
pretty
Evil
good.
Lords.
Yeah,
Evil
that's
Lords, there's
pretty good setup.
So you got an ogre down at the bottom that might pick.
This is an extremely social game.
The Shugenja's not actually close to any evil, so like they have to run through two.
I think you make the
two
pick
towns.
Are we gonna
before-
make the magician the marionette? Because that breaks, right? They're never gonna believe it. They're just gonna be like, "Yeah, get fucked, bro." I don't think that you should. They're like, "Yeah, you're the demon. Yeah, we're losing together, then, motherfucker." Because I don't
I
believe
think you. No, I think you make the artist the marionette. You show the pixie the snake charmer.
I see. So you would do it like, okay, so this would be marionette, which is very strong. You do this, so the magician's not doing anything. This guy has no idea this guy's neighboring a magician. That'll read socially too when he talks to him. That's fine. And then you make this guy the ability of the snake charmer, which is great because this guy thinks this guy is confirming everything. And then, right? He's like, oh shit, I'll pick up where you left off. And then
Right.
you have a damsel in play. You have a Shugenja that's gonna, wow, just unlucky direction, but it's gonna go towards the clockwise.
It
The
goes
ogre.
clockwise. You've got an ogre and a raven keeper.
Funny enough, the ogre is gonna seem evil. Doesn't matter who they pick because it's Shugenja. And then
That is pretty funny.
That's
yeah.
good. That's an outsider.
That's
This is-
actually very good.
this is a good setup. Honestly, I would play this game. It's a little more social, like she's saying. And any of these people can claim Village Idiot. It's not a bluff. It's not in play.
Yep, High Priestess just goes to the
I would
Shugenja.
play this game. This looks like a fun game. And it looks like the Nodashi can pull this one off, but eventually, you know, they might solve it. Right?
I mean, yeah, they're going off of. You might frame your snake charmer, but then the pixie makes no sense unless they're on their team, right?
This is
It
a fun
also-
grim.
It depends on what. It depends on what the damsel claims, but yeah, I think this is already a good game.
But it could have ended up like this. Right? So we clear these tokens. This is a completely random draw bag again, right? And then now the artist is off in fucking Yaya land over here, which is crazy strong. We have to put a marionette token
Once again.
adjacent.
Again, just pointing towards the ogre.
Which is pretty funny. So we're gonna marionette the seamstress because it's more useful information. We're gonna dead this guy. Sorry, not dead. Poison this guy. We're gonna poison all the way to the magician again. The poor fucking magician in the script. And now we have a lot of good info though, right? I think if we're being real dickheads, we're gonna make the mad token on the Shugenja on this one. Because the fucking evil team is so far away. Right? The Pixie would even, what would they even see? Arbitrary info? How close are we? It would go to counterclockwise towards the Cernobus, it looks
Yeah,
like.
I would go to Sarah.
Unless the ogre picks, but
Unless
then
the
it's arbitrary.
ogre. Yeah.
Oh, the ogre turning evil later and the pixie getting the ability and pointing that way would be so funny.
I like this setup too. And then the High Priestess, who they go into, probably to the Shigenja, probably to the Pixie, one of the two, right? Maybe to the Raven Keeper to point out or even the Seamstress who believes their information. Because even if it's wrong information, they believe it, and you can use that later to be like, wait, none of this is math, and then even though they're the marionette.
Oh, you know Talon's gonna read backwards and think that that's just good info.
But yeah, there's some fun setups with this script, with just the Nodashi, which we believe is the weakest out of the 3 for survivability. And Goblin's not in play. There's only one loud minion on the script, so in a 12-player game, you can freely claim Goblin all day, right? It's not a hard confirmed one way or another. I like it.
I guess Godfather is hard confirmed on this script, right? They can get 2 kills, and it's the only thing that happens.
True. That's true. If they use
but
it,
I don't care about that as much. If you want to out as Godfather at the cost of killing another
you
player.
mentioned adding a Baron to the script, though.
I love Baron.
You think Baron would improve it?
I think Baron with Drunk is always good.
Yeah.
It just helps. Like, it's a better outsider manipulation. I don't think you need the extra kill from the Godfather in this, so.
That's true. Yeah, I really like this one.
Funny thing that I don't think I've ever seen before is if a Snake Charmer chooses the demon early and the demon's like, here's my minions. One of them's the magician, though. I saw 3 people. I've never seen that. That'd be really funny.
And then they all out as magician. Like, yeah, we're all magicians.
And all that means is, oh, wait, I'm the magician.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a Snake Charmer magician game. You're right.
I've seen a Snake Charmer get somebody in a Poppy Girl game, which feels just as bad as not learning your info night 1. But you know, you had a chance. You could have killed.
Yeah, you're on even footing.
That one's fine. But yeah, I've never seen that either, Hosea. That's funny.
Makes me want to see it, and it's on this script. That's great.
Let's go. Okay. Yeah, maybe Artist isn't broken, but it is a little fucking strong. All right.
It is strong, but like, yeah, half the time Evil's just bluffing it.
All right, we're pulling up Anthem's script. So this is script number 10, and technically the last one, but I had one more I wanted to look at. All right. Anthem has quite the fucking write-up.
Hell yeah.
It is long, and I don't think it fits on my screen.
And you can't read.
I will skip through it a little bit. Sorry, Anthem, I'm drained. A lot of the script concept is based around an alignment and misregistration, so that may be why it looks like a spin-off of TB. There's a lot of powerful characters that can single-handedly solve the game. Vortox being on script makes it unreliable, and prevents Town from killing the evil team before they can coordinate. Bootlegger's there so that the Poppy Grower gives true info and Vortox. That's totally fine. The Ogre has plenty of recurring alignment finders like VI, Empath. The amount of misinformation makes things unclear. The interaction of Drunk, Marionette, Lunatic is funny. Yes, it is, since the Poppy Grower games. Those characters don't even know the character themselves. They get a little buddy in their quest to find out. My favorite interactions are Chef is like a Marionette finder with Vortox and Recluse. It can be misleading. Empath stuff. Talks about how the General is being used, similar to how Juicy had framed it. I like that. He does have General High Priestess on here, which we've had thoughts on.
Don't need both.
Oracle is great for Poppy Grove, Vortox, Vigor, Spy, Recluse, etc. I mean, that's strong. Sage is Vigor, Imp, Bluff of the day. Could be replaced with Ravenkeeper, Farmer. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, too.
Yeah.
The Oho is probably the demon that works least on the script, but I just want to see more scripts with Oho, so I just shoved that shit on there. And I think it's a good one on this one. Arbitrary kills. Let it never kill evil players in a Poppy Girl game. That's true. I mean, you never would. You never should pick an evil player, usually in an Oho thing, so that is strong. We'll come back to
I
that.
think he means when you miss.
Oh, if one of their minions died, they can choose the Oracle. If there were a lot of good juggles in town, they could choose the Juggler. The only way it works a bit less would fix if there's a Spy. It would just becomes a regular demon with no ability. Yeah, that's one of my comments on here. Unless it wants to get a double kill, which confirms either an Oho or Godfather is in the game. Characters could be good in another version of the script, but didn't have space for. It just talks about some ideas for the future. Okay. My initial thoughts on this were the lack of multi-kill rolls with the idea of the Oho doing their thing. It kind of defeats the purpose slightly, but I get what he's doing. And then
taking away half of the Oho, basically.
Yeah, and he's even saying you could use it to do a double kill to fake a Godfather game, but that's so
Killing a
niche.
drunk. It's only if a Godfather, like, unless the person claimed to be something on the block, and then you want to help evil out, I guess. But yeah, there's really niche worlds where you're selling a Godfather world as the Oho.
And there's only one reason for no kills: the monk. Even according to his own thing, you should probably kill with the Oho most of the time.
Which is, if your reasoning is that the Oho should get multiple kills, then you need reasons for good to have multiple kills. Otherwise, you've solved it's an Oho game.
Which seems important on the script when you have
Right?
one
You're a sage in an
Vortox.
Oho game.
Well,
Yeah, that too.
We'll come to that one, Sage. Sage in the whole game. That's fun. Okay, so the what do we got? Minions. So we have outsider manipulation with the Godfather. We got grim peeking, survivability with Scarlet Woman, and we got our gaslighter, our marionette. Yeah, my main thoughts on the evil side is the Oho still. Like, I just don't like it with the script on what it's trying to do. I get it, but Oho Sage, Hosian, tell me when you're gonna kill. So you know how the Oho works, right? If they miss, storyteller chooses. What kind of dickhead are you to choose the Sage? Tell me, please.
If I have a Scarlet Woman and I want to screw with town and make it
That's
look like it's a
fair.
Vortox game,
Totally fair.
right? Be like, oh yeah, you attacked the wrong person. It's
Damn
a
it, you
Vortox
sold me.
game.
That is fair.
You're putting evil on the back foot, though.
He did hit the Sage.
Well, it's the
Oh, wait, it's
Oho's
storyteller
decision, right?
No, we're talking about the storyteller choosing the Sage when the Oho misses.
No. Don't do that.
No.
Nope.
So the Sage is just immortal on this script then when the Oho's in game.
That's why I said if you find out it's an Oho game, you're just like, well, guess I'll just die now.
Because I'll happily kill the Banshee as punishment. I'm not going to show him where the fucking demon is. That ruins
I
the game.
might do
I mean,
it.
again, with a Scarlet Woman, you can still kind of do it.
Yeah,
right?
but you're putting
Just-
evil on the back foot. You're killing the demon. Now the Scarlet Woman. You don't. It depends on who's seen the Scarlet Woman as what. If the Scarlet Woman's sitting next to an empath that's sober, like, what do you do?
Yeah, I guess storyteller knows best, right? But Jesus Christ. I'm just probably not going to do that most of the games.
You're also probably always going to put a Scarlet Woman in an Oho game, right? Because the Oho is just in trouble.
What Sammiches was saying yesterday is Sage is probably a bluff most games on here.
Yeah.
Whenever it does.
Sage is
well.
either a bluff or you pull that token and you're like, I'm never going to get info that matters. Just kill me now because I'm just a demon frame on this script.
Yeah, the only world where it really sucks for them is a Vigor and all of their neighbors are alive and they get killed, or an Imp that kills them. And then you better act on that shit today because the Imp is running. But I like that. I like Sage on here. I just don't like Oho with. And again, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. It's fine. I just think there's not enough for the Oho to do on this script when you already have a spy. I do know that Oho trumps spy for Poppy Grower, right? Because you just go around it. In fact, Oho killing the Poppy Grower, I think, is kind of mid, right? Why even bother? You can kill whoever you want, and then you don't even have to out that it's a Oho game because you're not killing your own minions by accident until it matters. It's just something.
Yeah, you're solving. If you're a Poppy Grower and you don't die day one, you're probably not living in an Oho world for most of the game.
Yeah.
Or you're double bluffing it. So
who's the Oho going after on here, right? I do love Oho with protection rolls.
Probably if you hear juggles that you don't like.
Yeah.
Or monk. Yeah, or you say monk or fortune teller, I guess. Or
Some
empath.
good choices.
Oho has choices. I just don't think you ever put them in here without a Scarlet Woman because they're so vulnerable.
Yeah, I'd probably kill Monk day one, huh? Sell a spy world because Poppy Grower is like, why? Oh, I'm not dead.
Yeah, you say monk and you hope that your storyteller doesn't kill the sage.
Just me.
You know, Poppy
That's how
Grower
Colin would run that shit. Sorry, Jose, go ahead.
I realized with a lunatic, I kind of like a monk because when the lunatic picks bad, I'm just gonna sink in and pretend that that it's a monk that protected them, protected their kill. So to try to get them to go long, because I think a lot of lunatics figure it out pretty fast. But if I really want to play the long game, having a monk and I can sink the kill and trick the monk into thinking they protected someone and the lunatic into thinking, ah, fuck, the monk.
Baiting everybody here.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Yeah, I like that. And then Sage was the main one, but we have General High Priestess. We talked about that already. It's kind of overlapping.
Yeah, you don't need both.
Yeah. The demon movement. So demon survivability on here is medium, right? We got Imp Star Pass. Scarlet Woman is strong on this script, very strong. Spy can see where the Sage is and other shit rolls for evil. Like the Spy just dodge. Like that's another thing. A Spy or an Oho just never kill the Sage in a non-Poppy Grower game, right?
Yep.
Poppy reduces survivability to kind of counter that, but survivability is pretty good on this one for a lot of reasons. And then you have your outsider manipulation with the Godfather. Reasons for evil to die at night, you got quite a bit. Lunatic.
Oh, yeah.
Lunatic is a weird one. I didn't really bring this up before, but it's been relevant. Lunatic could pick an evil player, and if you're trying to keep them guessing, you follow it. Imp, Poppy Grower, Vig. Those are all reasons that you would evil would die on this script.
Marionette, yep. Marionette's good.
The misinfo balance. Do you feel like, so sure, we harped on the Sage a little bit. And the Oho. I think those are my two main ones. Do you feel like the script is otherwise pretty close to balance?
There is not a lot of poisoning, right? There's not. There's just the Vig.
It's relying on Vortox Vig worlds.
Yeah, Vortox
and Marionette.
Vig.
To like sell that people don't want to.
There's no hards. I guess the Juggler can hard solve the Vortox, but that's it. Right? Because with the if you're playing with the arbitrary rules on the Village Idiot, a Librarian maybe, but you probably always show them a drunk in a Vortox game.
Yeah, probably.
Chef, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's enough misinfo for like what's on here right now. Like if a Sage dies and hears something, you just go after those things, right?
Probably, yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a lot of.
I think if you're you need to fix something with maybe remove High Priestess, add some form of other ongoing info. You do have Oracle, actually. Oracle can be a form of finding out if it's a Vortox game.
Oh god, yeah, an Oracle getting a 1 immediately has to be.
Going back to going for the Sage pings, like, could be Vortox game, or could be a Scarlet Woman. So you're just wasting 2 days.
That's true.
So I don't really think the Sage is that worth.
Well, you're not wasting a Sage if you kill a demon and there's a Scarlet Woman. Like,
Right,
you have to do that.
You
have to do that
you
one.
are correct.
Hosian's over here like, Sage sucks. I'm going to show the Scarlet Woman as the other ping. I'm showing the Scarlet Woman as the other ping. We guessed.
That's fair. You're still killing him, but
I'm showing a dead.
You end up in a really weird thing because then you kill both the Sage's pings. It's like, oh, is the Sage just evil? Is it a Vortox game? Or is the Sage drunk? Like, there's a lot of
show the Sage,
different
the
worlds.
dead Star Past Imp, and another dead player, and they think it's.
I guess the Oracle is really key. With
the Oracle can
combination
solve the
of Sage.
Vortox game after 1 day.
At least help on it, right? They have to social.
Recluse messes up the Oracle a lot, actually. That's probably fine.
Yeah, can you imagine the first kill is the Recluse?
I don't think it's like. Yeah, I think there's enough questioning worlds that.
I think there is. Yeah.
I think Vortox is fine on this.
This does a good. Yeah, the Vortox is doing a lot of heavy lifting, unfortunately. So once you solve that, you're kind of set. But yeah, it's not the worst.
Yeah. All right. I like the script. I think the script's fun.
I think it's good.
I think the Oho
Playability looks high.
And the only reason I'm even shitting anything on it is because I think it could be better with just a few adjustments for the Oho. Because I think the Oho is not getting the most utility from being an Oho. But
I like the general. I like the general on here. Again, the general on here is good. Take High Priestess off, put something else, maybe Savant or something like that.
Yeah, and the storyteller friendliness on this one seems pretty straightforward to run if you've played enough custom scripts. There's not a crazy amount going on. It does have the Vortox, but whatever.
Yep.
All right. We're gonna do. I have not looked into this one. They did not submit everything correctly, but I'm still gonna look at it now.
Nolan, let's get.
We're gonna pull up Nolan's script. It's all Ogre now. Another great name. That's the main reason I wanted to pull it up. And because we ran this one, this was the Evil Twin Ogres one, I believe. This is the one where you saw.
Oh my God! Is this the Evil Twin?
This is why I want to bring up. This is the Pixie Tea Lady.
Bullshit.
This script was actually a shit ton of fun.
God damn it!
So I really wanted to bring this one up. It wasn't an SA order or anything, so we fixed that. But yeah, here is the masterpiece from Nolan. So Nolan has done a lot here. Let me see if Nolan's got a write-up for the thing.
Hatter and Barber. Okay.
It's all Ogre now, baby. So Nolan had tried to build something around as having as many Ogre claims as possible, but there weren't really enough. So I added some characters that can confirm alignment. Tea Lady added some more things to hide. Turns out the Tea Lady was really, really funny and interesting. Then he said, you know, he had some ideas of updating some things, like replace Moonchild with Drunk, replace Moonchild with Sweetheart, replace Moonchild with Puzzle Master. He didn't do any of that, so just assume that the Moonchild...
He didn't do any of that?
Yeah, he didn't get around to it. I said, please update your fucking JSON. But we'll assume that the Moonchild swapped for some other, like, misinfo role. Okay. All right. Now we can review. So we have a DA. We have a Leech. Fuck, we do have Legion on the script, don't we? I'm running into an issue of the fact that every minion on here is loud as fuck.
Yep.
And we have Legion. So how do you hide Legion?
You need Legion to claim that they've been pit-hagged or pretend to be Saramad or
Yep.
have an Evil Twins claim that isn't doubled up in the first 5 seconds of the game.
That's totally fair. And maybe that works, right? We do have an Alchemist on here that can do 1. I don't think the Alchemist options on here are significant. I really want an Ogre to pick an evil player and then have the Evil Twin see the Ogre. I think it's just good. But whatever.
Wait, how?
You can't, like,
I was
mechanically.
gonna say you can't.
I really want it, though. Maybe they learn late in the night. I don't know.
Nope.
Not if you're doing rules as written, they can't.
Correct.
Fine, whatever. Yeah, I like the evil team here. This is like a S&V type thing. I think Legion might be misplaced, but maybe you just solve the Legion world. Right?
Yeah.
You have a Yaga and a Poe and a Legion. That's pretty wild compared to the Leech.
Feels more BMR to me. So
But,
a
like-
lot of reasons for death.
But, like, not from the minions, right? Except for Pithag Demon
Oh,
Change.
not from the minions, no.
But I guess, yeah, you don't know exactly what demon is in play based on kills, from what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Could be
Yaga,
Yaga.
Poe, Gossip, Gambler.
So that's pretty balanced then, at the end of the day. Legion can
Moonchild.
multi-kill. Alright.
Yeah.
But you do have Legion, and you have... I don't think Legion... Funny enough, Legion works well with BMR type stuff just because of the infinite amount of kills they can produce based on the number of Legion. That's why it really works. But the whole surviving execution part of BMR falls apart with Legion.
Correct.
You do have an Alchemist that could have the Alch DA, which is funny, I guess. But it
They
is
say it.
a
They tell
social
town.
play. Yeah, if they tell people, and now they're just saving Legion from dying. I do think the suite of minions and demons needs a storyteller to balance the bag pretty well. But, you know,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with the script where the Legion world is just put away instantly, and everybody's like, nah, it's not Legion. That's fine. Right? You do need Legion to fake Evil Twin, at least. That's probably the easiest one. But as soon as you get like, oh, I'm fucking pit-hagged, and I'm Sarobad, and we're Evil Twins, now things are getting a little, like, it's probably Legion, because people are just making shit up.
Yep.
So that's fine. The Outsiders, right? We have 3 of them, the Ogre, the Barber, and the Hatter. And then there's this question mark for the Moonchild. They're fine. Barber Hatter is really fucking strong. We have a Leech.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
We have both. And a Pithag? Pithag Leech? I remember when I ran the script, I intentionally left some of these things off. And I noted that when I was running it.
Leech, Barber, Hatter.
Yeah, I made it an Ogre game with... Was it a non-12 player game or something? I don't remember putting Barber, Hatter, or
Who was
Moonchild
my
in.
demon? Was my demon the Leech?
Your demon was a Leech,
Yeah,
who
it was
Leech
Crows. He was the
hosted.
Leech.
Yeah.
Alexis, who was sitting next to the tea lady. The pixie who got the tea lady ability.
But what was the Outsiders on that? It was Ogre.
I was the Ogre, and that was it. There was no...
It must have been an
a one
11-player
out-
game.
It was an 11-player game,
Got it.
and this is one of my issues with this script. It's an 11-player game. I'm the Ogre, so Town was able to solve around me because they knew that I had to be the evil Ogre because of the evil twin situation. But even if that hadn't have happened,
That's
you
so
just
stupid.
know you know that there's an outsider not coming out, and you can mostly guess it's an Ogre who picked their evil team and knows the evil team, basically.
Yeah.
Why? The Barber and Hatter don't really want to come out.
They don't, but even then, like, by that point in the game, you couldn't tell that somebody... We had a Barber in that game. So we
must
needed
have.
2 outsiders. And we had, Blake was Jonathan.
Oh, the Barber
the-
was protected by the Pixie Tea Lady.
The Barber was protected by the Pixie
Okay,
Tea
that's
Lady.
why I was trying to think back on why it never worked. That's why.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole... All right, I'll walk through it because it was so funny. So we have a setup scenario here where the Tea Lady is protecting the Leech and some other Shugenja, like a Shugenja, that pointed away from them because there was another evil player over there. Something in that vein. It was probably similar to that. Then there was a Pixie who saw the Tea Lady. I had already set all this up. It was pretty silly. But then the Leech picks a neighbor of the Pixie Tea Lady, creating quite a spicy scenario.
Kept trying to get them killed.
The Pixie Tea Lady would like to pretend that they're the Tea Lady and kill their neighbors. And the neighbor that is the Leech host would immediately end the game if they were killed because they are not protected because it's not
Thankfully,
a real
I
Tea
knew
Lady.
who the Leech host was at that point, too.
Yeah. Lucky you didn't vote. Eventually, the Tea Lady died. which this swings everything the other way. They didn't even like solve mechanically that Crow was the leech, because it could have just been a T-Lady save, but they like socially read that. And the new...
Correct. They didn't solve that.
They didn't. They never did. This is why I was so confused how Josh K solved that shit.
Oh, because they knew I was the evil ogre at that point.
They knew you were evil because you were acting like a piece of shit. Is that why?
well, they needed 2 outsiders, and with the evil twin stuff that had happened.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, because Mia had to be good. Actually, I don't know why.
There's a sentinel on the script. People are just ignoring it.
We ignored the sentinel because as one does.
As one does. The T-Lady now gave their power to the Pixie, who's now protecting the goddamn leech host with like 7 players left alive. So they had to figure out both, should they kill the confirmed T-Lady, and there was somebody breaking Sarrow Madness, the barber, who was mixed on the T-Lady, which of course, if you're going to break Sarrow Madness, I'm going to do that. It confirmed him as good while also ending the day. And stopping the kill from happening. It was a pretty wild series of events, and they did get there somehow. But they ended up killing the leech host.
They had just enough time. They had one day that they needed to be able to kill the T-Lady and then kill into the...
But the funniest scenario almost happened. So you have this nice jinx here that they've added recently. Pit Hag that makes goons, ogres, cult leaders that are evil players into those roles. They're not allowed to change to good. So if a Pit Hag does it, you mark them with some kind of custom token that says, no, you're stuck on this team. There is no such jinx for Barber Ogre, which is fucking hilarious. So in a world where the Leech kills the Barber, or any demon, they kill the Barber, they know where the Ogre is, they swap with the Ogre, they pick a good player, and they change teams, and they out the information, and they win with good. It's so fucking good. And it doesn't even need an evil ogre for this. There's nothing that says...
Ogre Barber... Well, there's a Spirit of Ivory. Does that
Don't even need an evil ogre. There's nothing that reverses it. You could be a good ogre that also turns the evil like demon into a good player. Barber Ogre is
The Spirit
fucked.
of Ivory stops this, doesn't it?
Not from turning good.
No, not from turning good. You're right.
Barber Ogre is a fucking wonderful shite thing. So maybe never come out as Barber or Ogre, I guess. Because if you come out as Ogre...
I think you just don't put them together. I don't think that's an interaction that they saw or want in this game based on the goon thing and the...
Do you like that, Hosian, or...
Oh my god.
I was waiting for it to...
You're saying that if the evil switches with the ogre and then turns good and then they out the evil team and win?
Yeah, the demon specifically.
The demon, because they barber swap
with the ogre. Yeah, and say, hey, the ogre is now the evil demon or whatever. Like if this is only if the ogre's evil. Though.
No, they don't even have to be evil. Just an outed ogre.
But the ogre would be good, right? Oh, they would still
Doesn't matter.
It just fucks the evil team over.
It just fucks over the remaining 2 evil. Sorry, minions. Get fucked.
Bad. That's so bad.
In fact, that's even stronger because now the good ogre, who's now the good leech,
like I agree. Yeah,
can I hosted myself. Let's kill me.
Oh, this is so bad.
It's pretty janky, but I really wanted to talk about that.
Evil.
Yeah.
It's a Hail Mary from evil with one of the craziest plays. But yeah, so if you have an ogre barber together, the demon ever kills the... If the demon ever kills the barber, they can just make this happen at any point in time.
The only time you can is if the ogre is dead, because if you swap to a dead player, the game ends immediately. They don't get to use it.
Oh, they can't pick?
Yeah. The ogre has to be alive for this play to happen.
Okay, that sucks. That sucks, but it's fine.
It also depends when you run barber, right? If you do it at the beginning of the night order, then it depends when the storyteller is going to run your ogre pick. Because the demon, the now demon can kill you, and you don't get to do any... You don't have an ability. I don't even know how that would work, right? You just don't pick, so you just never change a line.
Dead evil ogre
who tried to do a thing and you get punished.
You're testing the now demon's view of what just happened.
It's so stupid. Anyway, that's the main reason I want to pull the script up. I actually think the script needs quite a bit of changes to it to function, and mainly with the Hatter Barber situation. I think that's weird. I think I think Surviving Executions does not play as well with Legion. Is my main takeaway on this one.
DA Leech, yeah.
Yeah, not with
Alchemist
Legion.
on here again, and you're like, what is the?
Oh yeah, DA Leech. Good point.
Alchemist Pit Hag is awful. It's fun for the Alchemist though.
Yeah. All right. Last one is Sammiches script.
Hey,
I just wanted to highlight this script because Sammiches put this in, put a lot of effort in, and made, I think, only a couple changes, right, if anything, before you
I just
submit.
changed the Baron out.
The Baron, because you had a
Oh, and
Godfather.
I added them. I put the Magician in.
Sammiches got the top 3 for the script competition on Ogre. So if you're looking for
Honorable
credentials, the creds, here it is. So if you think you're worthy, well, Sammiches will be the fucking judge of that.
The script has led to a lot of fun games, I will say. Every time we've played this game, this script, and the one I watched yesterday, it seems like a fun time.
Sammiches is not free of judgment here. The Baron is the strongest on a script when there is a drunk or a hard, quiet outsider like a heretic or something.
Or
the
a
reason
damsel.
that it on here can not true because the damsel can out when they're dead on this script.
Not when they're dead.
Which is very strong in Final 3 when you have a player bluffing as a recluse that should not be in the game. AKA...
I think it's fine.
Now, that doesn't mean it's a broken script or anything. It just means that that is probably the weakest part on here. And there is one saving grace for that, the Vigor Mortis, right? You have to absolutely sell that it's a Vig game if the outsider count doesn't mathematically add up to that +2.
Yep.
Right? That's not the worst thing in the world. That's fine. But yeah, this is a fun script. I've always had a good time with it. It's got a great mix. You'll see that some of the ones that Sammiches liked have some matching stuff going on here.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of that.
The Recluse is good for fucking up town and letting the Ogre sometimes just know they're evil. The Lunatic is fun because neither know what team they're on. The Poisoning is very specific, so a mathematician's numbers are looked at, which I like. The Magician fucks up evil, but also just creates weird situations in town where an Ogre picks a Magician and then doesn't know if they're playing for good or evil for a couple days because Magician's being shifty.
Yeah.
Same for a Ravenkeeper. Ravenkeeper's trying to, ride the line. Philosopher doesn't have like a perfect choice on here, I don't think. So I thought them being on here was good for an extra poisoning or drunking of some kind. Savant's fun to have on here because you got a damsel.
Every game I've been in with this, it's been a no dashy game, I believe, so far.
Has it really?
I want to see a different setup from somebody.
Has it? I was
no dashy, and then the demon for me the other day when we played it was the no dashy Antham.
I've made an imp game, but I don't think you played in it, and that one was fine. Evil one. I don't remember. The ogre was good. The ogre was good. Yes, but I think a Vig works really well with ogre. I think a Vig game, is good. Oh, you were the Nodashi claiming to be the Philo who went ogre. Yeah,
that was stupid.
That was good.
I was doing a stupid.
It worked.
Because it was funny. I was like, yeah, we're the trust chain. That video will come out soon.
Ogre is fun.
Yeah, it is. It is fun, right? Okay. I think we're good on this one. We're gonna reconvene and come back with the winner. All right, welcome back to our script situation. We've convened. You might notice a little number 4 up there. We have a sneakrit. Somebody sneaking around who helped us. We have to put it against the contender from last time. Oh, what's Diamond Hands doing up there as well?
Oh, it's the game-winning script from last time.
Yeah. We have to it has to take the belt from them, so to speak, wrestling style. But we did come to a almost unanimous consent. I can speak words. English is my first language. We came to a unanimous consensus on this, on which of the 3 best ones we think are worthy of being Kinky Clocktower script winners. But only one could stand above the rest. And then this is where I do the joke where we put Sammiches' script back up.
Yeah.
But no, we did actually determine one, and congratulations goes to the Giggles, McGiggles, Social Strings version 2. Sammiches, give it some praise. Give it some of that.
Great script. The ogre on here for half the game might not even know whose team they're on. Town, just like the title says, a lot of the info is mechanical, but who's giving it, what they're giving, and what they're saying is reliant on social reads on the player. Looking for demons, you have to start looking at the players and what they're saying to see if they're possibly a Nodashi neighbor or not. The ogre, meanwhile, is trying to figure out if they picked either the marionette or somebody sitting next to the Nodashi who has been told that they're marionette. There's just so many setups on here that I would like to run that I think would be interesting. So I think it's a good script. I think it highlights the ogre well, and I think people should play it.
I agree. I think this is worthy of the title. I think the only minor issues we have are fixable with bag building, right? You just make a proper bag and you keep things above board there. I guess the only other one, like, you do have the Godfather that will confirm itself, but that's completely a choice, right? And it's a potential game-ending condition or whatever. Yeah, Hosian, thoughts?
I think what this script does well, in comparison to a lot of other scripts, is balancing town. Like, usually you find that town is very powerful or very weak. This script really has a well-balanced town, and I like it for me.
Hell yeah. All right, so sorry, I'm getting distracted by a text that keep getting. Okay, congratulations, McGiggles. We are gonna go over.
No.
Yeah, that was Sammiches. There are 2 other scripts that I'd like to highlight real fast, just to give props to these.
This was
creators.
very hard.
These are not in any particular order. McGiggles did get the best one, just FYI, so I don't want that to be twisted up. But
yes,
we also have Tejas' script, which is pretty good. Is this the one we agreed on? It was number 2, right?
I think
this is in top 3, right? Top 3.
So evenly, everything was so evenly close. Like you said, we needed to have somebody come in here and like make a decision with us because it took quite some time.
Yeah. But yeah, this one, I think your guys' your biggest criticisms were, potentially things that can stand out to make the script different from other similar scripts. The engineer, the big issue I would have is this Leech Scarlet Woman. Easy to fix, honestly. Just modify that or don't put it in the bag together. It's totally fine. Yeah. But other than that, this is fun. This has Leeches and Legion vibe, which I've made a script for, and I quite enjoy both being in it and playing or running the games for it.
Yeah, Ogre being paranoid along with Town being paranoid, always fun.
Yeah, Ogre in a Legion game.
Ogre in a game that Town thinks is Legion is just funny.
Yes, yeah, they're like, I've never trusted this motherfucker at all. I'm like, I can vote. Okay, and then finally the last one that we have here, and again, these 2 are in no particular order, just the order of when I pulled them up. Anthem's Into the Woods. This was probably a personal favorite of Hosian's over here. It has a lot going on. I know we were kind of judgmental of the Oho interactions with it and potentially the High Priestess General. That doesn't mean it's not fun or even a good setup, right? There's a lot for the High Priestess to see on night 1. The Oho can do quite a bit with their ability to just pick a player, right? They can avoid the Poppy Girl. They don't even have to kill him. I guess our biggest thing was, shitting on the Sage Oho or the Sage in general on what it is. But let's be real. Sage is one of the strongest fucking townsfolk in the game. So balancing that requires it to
sages,
be...
Yeah. 100%.
Well, balancing a Sage to be on a script requires it to have a high % chance to get fucked info. Otherwise, it's just too strong. So, yeah, thoughts on this one before we close it out?
Great Ogre picks again. An Ogre who's uncertain on whose team they are on. It's great. People who don't want a hard claim to the Ogre that pick them, like the Sage or the Poppy Grower, also funny. People randomly claiming Ogre because it's Poppy game, also good. Like these setups, all the characters on here were, thought of around the Ogre, which is what we wanted to see. I think it's good.
Hosian?
I like that there's a lot of different worlds. I can see a lot of different setups. I think the playability is pretty high on this one. It probably leans a little bit more towards evil with the Scarlet Woman things, but I think that's okay because good only has to be right one time. Evil has to get it right every day, right? So I think that's okay.
Fucking true. Okay, well, I hope you guys have had fun kind of looking into the brains here, the minds of these 2 magnificent gentlemen, and whatever the fuck's going on in my head, the little monkey clapping hands. I'm all over the place, but we had a great time. So again, if you guys are catching this, please leave some feedback on here for the scripts that you guys saw. I think that'll go a long way into helping these guys. They care. Everybody's script that we went into has spent a lot of time on these. We probably run some of these on stream or even off stream for a couple of them, and we like to play them. We want to play new stuff. We want new ideas. People have done shit on here that's kind of like been like, what? Like we mentioned earlier, the Bounty Hunter Ogre. That's an interesting interaction that Sammiches was talking through that only exists on one of these scripts. Because it seems janky. But then you look at it and you're like, oh, that does make it more of an outsider, right? And, without a drunk. It's stuff like that we don't get from our, like, really rigid mindset of how we make scripts, right? We need something to fucking hit us in the head once in a while to be like, oh, that's a different way to look at it, right? Like, I use a lot of demon movement and demon survivability. But a lot of like this script has Scarlet Woman, but like Giggles' script has none of that. There's no movement at all. I had an imp, right? I think is the only one.
That was the only one. Yep.
Yeah. So congratulations to all 3 of these individuals and everybody else. Again, we had some other really, really interesting ideas. Some of the Zomboul attempts on here, which also linked in the Summoner. Unfortunately, a lot of that was not available to us when the Summoner first came out for the competition, so we didn't get to really delve into those.
Yeah.
Those came out late. But maybe they'll come into play later. But yeah, with that, you know, we're gonna all of us, all 4 of us are going to Origins next week. So look, I'm just kidding. Sandwich is a piece of shit. It's not going. Hosian, I don't think is going either. I'll be there. Alexis, if you're familiar with them.
Hosian, you are going?
I am going, yeah.
Oh, you're going.
Everyone's going but me. I hate that.
I lied. Hosian's going. Perfect.
All right, I'll take the jet for
so
one.
So come
day.
find us. We'll have a kinky circle, or wait, that sounds kind of forward.
Come play these scripts.
Yeah, we'll probably have at least these top 3 printed out. Maybe JuicyBerries for some flavor, because this shit goes in a whole other direction from these, and I do like craziness. So yeah, come find us. Come play these scripts. Yeah, we love you. Shill, like the YouTube, whatever. I don't know. I'm still watching this.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Bye.